Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Roundabout Cast, episode 58.
Nine?
It could be anything.
Willard, who instead of
In the 60 numbers?
Omni-Man wins, I think.
This has to be our longest running joke of never knowing what podcast number we're on.
Oh, yeah, it's a
joke.
It's a very big joke. We're very funny boys over here.
what a gag.
Oh, this is episode 60.
Oh, yay. Yatta. Another decade of Roundabout Cast has passed. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's jump into our little quick talks. Joe, why don't you tell me about Marvel What If?
Yeah. So, Marvel What If? I give the show a solid 7 out of 10. Nothing really pertains to the Marvel Universe. I think there's some cool, interesting, like animation that happens. I think the first episode of this show is bad, like pretty bad. Like it's just a straight retelling of Captain America, first movie,
but with Carter,
but with Captain Carter. Yeah.
Tyler, have you seen this?
I've seen the first episode.
Oh.
Yeah.
The first episode has the vault creature from Borderlands in it.
Yeah, it does.
That doesn't seem like a retelling to me.
No, it is. It's like a 1-for-1.
I see. He replaces Bucky. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it was a fun little ride. I have nothing else really to say about it. I don't recommend it to anybody actually in this group. I think if you're going to watch it, just watch it. But I don't think it's like worth cutting out a piece of your time and watching it.
I'm watching it.
Congrats.
I'm going to continue watching it in between my King of the Hill sessions.
Exactly. You're not going to sit down and dedicate an afternoon to this. Like I sat down and watched everything.
The animation looks cool, but I'm pretty sure I'm skipping this one because there's a lot of Marvel content, and I try to keep up with it. I still got to watch Shang-Chi at some point. But I guess Black Widow, but it feels less important to watch Black Widow because I don't know, it's in the past.
Black Widow is free now, which means I'll finally get to watch it.
Okay, then I'll watch it. But this one doesn't feel as mandatory as everything else.
Not at all.
Until they're like, yeah, and then animated Doctor Strange shows up in Multiverse of Madness. I'm like, well, fuck.
You know what may happen, but I don't think so. My friends and I have gotten into Star Wars Legion. It's a miniature Star Wars game. I think it does a lot of things that I have been griping about 40K and has fixed a lot of those issues I've had with 40K. So I've been really, really enjoying it.
Now listen here, you little fucker. You didn't tell me you were going to talk about this. It's not on
free talk. I can talk about whatever the fuck I want.
I'm just joshing you. Go on. I thought you already played this game, or is this another that was Star Wars?
It's a miniature collection game. It's like a...
I'm thinking of Star Wars Resistance, the other one that you like a lot.
Maybe. Rebellion. Okay. Yeah. This is like a collector game where you build your army and then you go and fight another person's army kind of deal. Kind of like Warhammer or like Magic where you have your own construction mechanics to it. But we've been really enjoying it. We're getting some more friends into it. And I think that's about it. Other stuff that we're going to be talking about today, I think we'll cover what I've been mostly doing.
Cool. I'll talk about some of the stuff I watched or played. I checked out because there was a Nintendo Direct. It was a pretty good Direct. Bayonetta finally got announced. New Kirby game. Bunch of fun stuff. I'm sure there's stuff slipping my mind that was cool.
Kirby game.
Bradley, wasn't there something else that you were really into in that?
Dude, Chocobo GP?
Yeah! Okay. Final Fantasy Mario Kart? Oh, I'm so all over that.
Anywho, that same day the Castlevania Advance Collection came out, and I've never played these games. So it has 3 of the Game Boy Advance games, and then Dracula X, which is an alternate version of a game I've already played. Anywho, I started the first one in the collection. It's actually super fun to play. It's like such an easy, fun time. It's a Metroidvania, but exploring the castle is really fun. It's got this weird...
which Castlevania is that first one?
So the first one's called Circle of the Moon, and then there's Dissonance of something... And then
Dissonance of the Sound Waves.
And then there's Aria of Sorrow, which everyone claims is maybe the best Castlevania. So I want to build up to it, but I'm having a lot of fun with the first one.
Do they have Symphony of the Night on there, or
if you want to play Symphony of the Night, you buy the Requiem collection on the PlayStation or Switch, which has that, and Rondo of Blood, which is Dracula X. So that's where I play both of those. Anywho, it's super fun. It's got this neat system where like certain enemies will drop a card, and then there's like a slot 1 of a card and a slot 2 of a card, and depending on which ones you have combined, it'll give you a different effect or power. So you have a lot of mixing and matching with these cards that you get.
After playing certain games, I might want to look into the Castlevania series a little bit more to play them.
I've been checking them out as these collections come out, and I'm a fan now.
I recommend Portrait of Ruin on the DS.
Yeah, I hear that one is like Aria Sora and really good.
It kind of slaps.
So
I want a new Castlevania game, very similar to Metroid Dread, because I just like the gothic horror setting, and I just need more of it.
Yeah, with these kinds of series, you kind of want to wait for like the quality of life new version. Unfortunately, that will never happen for Castlevania unless Konami starts licensing out their games to other
They
studios.
mentioned they were making a new Castlevania game, but I don't think it's going to be like Dread. It's going to be like Battle Royale. Everyone's a vampire killing each other type deal.
You're all pachinko machines. No, he's joking.
It'd be cool if the map is really, really, really cool.
Actually, if everyone has like weird Castlevania movement and throwing axes at each other and shit, that could be pretty fun.
Yeah, and you know what? Let's make it Dracula's Castle, and it moves every time. Like it gets different. We're done. Okay, we did it. Konami, send us our checks in the mail. We'll take
the thing. Like, if the gameplay is inspired by Castlevania rather than it just being like a Castlevania skinned battle royale, it could be really cool.
At least, like, I'm all for battle royales that aren't shooters at this point. Like, what am I thinking of? I don't know.
There was that Spellweaver.
It still comes off like a third-person shooter. What am I guess I'm thinking of stuff like Tetris Attack and like weird shit and Mario 35 stuff like that. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Anywho, I've also been watching some stuff which includes season 3 of The Circle. So I've talked about the show before. It's a reality TV show that it fucking slaps on the background. I need to just throw it on one day and
I kind of want to. Because I walked in one time and watched my sister watching it. I was like, this shit's hilarious.
So, for a refresher, this is the show where a bunch of contestants are sent into like a building and they're all in their own individual rooms locked in, and they play personas or themselves in like a weird social media thing that they have, and you vote out your least favorite person. This season was very strategical, where it's like, it was less emotional a lot of the time and more like, this is my alliance and I can't betray them because then they're going to fuck me. So a lot of alliance stuff, which I think is fun. A problem with this show is that there's no inherent rule against catfishes. So like they always try like, oh, we got to catch the catfish. But it's like, sure, the catfish is less genuine, so I guess you like them less. But like the show doesn't punish you for not getting the catfishes. I feel like there should be a rule where like, if you win the pot, but there was like 2 catfishes left in the final 4, you get less money, so you're more incentivized to like catch them and shit. But I digress.
I don't know about that. I think like the whole point of this show is like the idea of like what personality wins out in the end, the fake one or the genuine one. But I don't know.
Okay, says someone who walked in one time on his sister and hasn't watched. No, the point is like the players, they will talk a lot about catching the catfish. It's like but like there's nothing inherently in the rules making you catch the catfish. It'd be cool if there was. But anyways, there's 2 good noteworthy points about this season. It's probably like my favorite season out of the ones they've done in the US ones. I also watched the Brazil one, which was a fucking riot. Those people are cutthroat.
Is the Brazil one in English or is it like?
It's subbed. I watched it subbed on Netflix.
You're Brazilian.
Sorry, I watched it with someone else, so it had to be subbed. I could understand what was happening. So 2 points of interest here. One is this like psychological horror that occurs midway through the season. So this social media influencer and her sister, who is her older sister, who looks very different from her, they come as a duo, and the older sister's really annoying because she's like commandeering on the conversations. They're playing as like the younger, hotter sister, but they're like kind of in together, and the older sister's kind of more controlling about it. She's not fun. Anyways, they get kicked out really early, and you get the sense where it's like, shit, we had in the contract that they needed to stay on for a little while, just like I don't know, they cooked something up, so it's like, okay, time for a twist. you guys get to steal the persona of one person and become their clone. So they pick this old lady called Michelle, who's super sweet. And like she's like a Southern belle, but like a sassy one, like someone that even we would like have fun with and like hang out with.
This is my nightmare.
If we met Michelle in the bar, we would kick back some drinks, essentially, right?
Yeah.
So now the next day they show up and there's Blue Michelle and Orange Michelle, and the way that this works is the next week they have to vote out who they think is the fake Michelle, which. Slight spoiler alert, because it's early in the season. Despite very obvious tells, they vote out the wrong Michelle. And it's like, they find out later, it's like, it's brutal. Like, but while it's happening, Michelle is so bothered. She was not prepared for this, and I felt really bad for her, because she's like, they're pretending to be me and saying all this bullshit. And like, their answers were night or day, where like, they're having like, we're going to show you a bunch of Michelle's photos, and both Michelles have to explain the story behind the photo. And Blue Michelle, who's the fake one, is doing the most generic shit, while Orange Michelle was like, yeah, I went fishing that day, the fish I caught was a carp, I'm wearing a Clemson shirt, and the other Michelle was like, fishing with my family's fun. So it's like, one's actually giving you details, the other's generic as fuck.
Man, there's nothing I hate more than old people being upset. And like I mentioned this to Willer when we were doing our Better Call Sauls. And then there's the episode where Saul is like messing with the lady
Irene,
Irene and her friend group, and I was just like, I was about to cry. Yeah,
that like, was some of the evilest shit I've seen on television. Now he does roll it back a little bit. They never give Michelle like a proper apology on this show. They just fuck her. The other notable thing is like this guy Nick is like. He's a Microsoft engineer or project manager. I don't know. It's kind of confusing. I think he was a project manager, but he did computer science. Nerd. But he's like really studly. Like he's a good-looking tall dude. And he's very goofy, and people like really didn't like Nick at first, but the way he played the game was incredible. He pulled out magic where he made this dude turn on his alliance twice, and the second time the dude was like, Nick's not gonna get me this time, I'm gonna stand my ground, and then Nick does it again. It's fucking incredible, actually.
This is season 3?
Yeah. So, as it turns out, Nick had been flirting with a catfish the whole time, and when they meet, this guy who's been laughing and having fun the entire season, for the entire rest of the finale, he's like forcing smiles and is just crushed. And you're like, oof. It's hard to tell if he's just awkward in person, because it's like the first person, because when there's the final 4, they're like, okay, you're all going to meet each other and then find out the final votes or whatever. Anyways, dude was crushed. Fun season. Throw it in the back. That's the recommendation.
Cool. Throw it back, King.
Alrighty.
Gee, Tyler, what have you been doing for free time?
Tyler, what have you been doing?
You know, I've been so busy. Like, Willer, I'm so happy you asked.
All right, you didn't throw anything on the docket. I thought this was a skip week. Sorry, Tyler, would you like to bring something up to class?
Y'all, I've been watching King of the Hill.
Oh, yeah. That's
right. Man, that show.
I've been watching King of the Hill.
A lot.
And this is... I swear to God, Mike Judge is actually from the future.
Yeah.
And he is just telling us the future through entertainment that should not be how we tell the future.
That reminds me of something, but I want Tyler to finish his thought.
Like, as I'm rewatching King of the Hill, they're touching on topics and stuff that's extremely relevant to our day. Like, at this one point... Hank doesn't want a woman to work with him in the workplace, and this is like 2003 or 4. And then like Dale, the crazy guy's like, don't ever be alone in the room with her. You might do something you regret. Jesus. Or she might lie about it. It's just like, why is this like, this is 18, 19, 20 years ago. Do things never change? And then she gets hired. And the first thing she does is sexually harass Hank by grabbing his ass.
No, he has no ass. I thought that was the whole point.
That is the point too.
I will say that like that, of course that was a thing back then. We just talk about it more now.
Yeah.
But that's just one example. The rest is all there. Dale is afraid of getting vaccines. Like,
Jesus.
It just proves to me that history doesn't actually change, and Mike Judge knows all of the future.
So he's definitely the Hideo Kojima of fucking American cartoons. Got it. Okay.
Yeah, so that brings things up because I've been playing Death Stranding Definitive Edition, Director Cut, which is wild to play after the pandemic. Like, you talk about a game that came out 1 year too early.
I was telling y'all, man, Kojima is scary.
Like, holy shit.
I think he made a tweet, or like he said in the Game Awards, where it's like, I need to rein myself in because I'm making games that are hitting too close to home. Basically, like, I'm being too prophetic with some of this shit. Y'all, you need to play Metal Gear Solid 2 at some point.
I just wanted to bring that up because playing it again, or not continue playing it after the pandemic, is wild. Thinking about like connecting and all this other shit.
Yeah.
But that's all I wanted to bring up. What else have you been doing, Tyler? Anything?
No, let's let Bradley.
Let Bradley.
Okay.
Well, this is everyone's monthly update on the world of Genshin.
Yeah, I got some stuff to say.
The dust has kind of settled on the anniversary event. People are still pretty pissed, but, you know, they did technically change the anniversary rewards. So
I heard the last event this fire was Fire Festival.
Yeah, pretty much.
They gave you a big fish sword, which is actually good.
Yeah, it's actually like a really, really good sword. So I'm gonna start using it.
Yeah, big fish sword, good.
It's cute. But I'm kind of bummed because I don't really care about like the next 2 or 3 banners. So I just have nothing to look forward to in life.
I've been playing some Genshin, and I got the current girl who everyone hates. Like, first of all, she's as cute as any of these other generic Genshin girls. So I guess like she just plays bad. I don't know. She looks really cool to me. Oh, come on, they're all lame.
Nah, they're all great. Well, no, they're not all great, but there's some really cool ones.
Yeah. So this new banner has new weapons, and the new bow is for child. Actually, kind of a good bow. I think IMO. I had to ask Bradley about it. I was like, I think this is good.
Oh yeah, it's like it's the weapon that is made for him. A lot of the 5 stars have like a weapon that is like made specifically to be their good weapon. Now the problem is usually if I don't like a character banner, I'll at least like the current weapon banner. I don't like the character banner or either of the weapon banners coming up because the weapons or the characters I don't like.
That's the thing is the weapon banner outside of the bow sucks.
Yeah,
like it's not good.
Hey, to get this bow, do you have to, like, can you get it in the character banner, or you have to go in the weapon?
No.
You guys are fucking Stockholm Syndrome, and you don't
But the weapon banner is essentially the standard banner with the 5-star weapon pool in it. Like, that's about it. No. So you're pulling on a standard banner, which is garbage anyway.
But you're not guaranteed the 4-star whatever. The character.
No, you're still guaranteed the 4-star, just like you are in the character banner.
Oh, okay, that's not so bad.
Like, yeah, you can get characters from the weapon banner.
Okay, that's better.
Yeah,
like it's the same as the standard banner.
Yeah, so
it just has those 5-star weapons.
So it's gonna be 9 weapons, and then your character, like always. Okay.
Cool. Yeah.
So I guess I'll just get to do a shitload of pulls here in a couple months when they roll through all the stupid banners.
So they've got Child 2 in the following banner as Toma.
Yeah, I thought they made a costume for Child. He looks exactly the same.
Yeah, same guy. And then they announced Ito, who is Yamato from One Piece.
That's the thing. There's been a character that's been being teased throughout the story as like I think he's like the head of a gang or some shit. Mm-hmm. And so people have been like just really itching to see what he looks like. And the tweet where they announced this character got more like likes and retweets and whatever than the tweet that announced the rated Shogun, who, mind you, by a huge margin set like the record for most money spent on a character in this game.
So literally it was the break glass for Hot Husbando and make everyone forget about the anniversary.
Which makes me kind of sus. I'm like, I wonder if this is a shit ton of bots.
I think you're all just gullible and you like your husbandos.
I think they were saving this guy, and you know what? People did point out it's been a while since the last husbando dropped, so I'll give them that.
Gotta give them
now, in Genshin adjacent news, I only need like 1 minute. I found out this week that MiHoYo, they make other games besides Genshin, but they also make a little live desktop engine. That's just like, animated desktops for your monitors or whatever. They have a bunch of built-in Genshin ones, which are very cool. They also have like a little anime girl that lives in your desktop. I think she's adorable. I think Tyler does not think she's adorable. I just installed it like 5 minutes ago. I think it's cute.
There you
Everyone
go.
download it.
Bradley has 2 girlfriends. Polygamy is accepted here in the Roundabout cast. Okay. Also, Sora got announced for Smash. Holy fucking shit!
Yeah.
Oh yeah!
What? Oh,
we forgot.
Man. I woke up.
And you know what?
Oh, go!
I love that his tagline was "Sora is finally here" because we knew it was gonna happen, bitch.
I didn't believe. I genuinely didn't believe, but I hoped. It's no Phoenix Wright, but that is my second favorite pick. It would be Sora.
They did the impossible.
Also, his moveset has a lot of stuff directly from the games, which is what I like out of Smash. So I'll take it. And his costumes are the best in the game. So
speaking of costumes, they had Doom Guy as a costume, which means Doom Guy was on the table.
Yes. I think
which is kind of neat.
I think it makes sense that Doom Guy was at least on the table, and it also makes sense that he was dropped from the table. Because
I do like his Mii costume though. His Mii costume looks really good.
Oh yeah, it's definitely the best one.
Done amazing work on all the Mii costumes, like Sans, and like who is the character we never got? The puppet. Gino.
Jesus.
Yeah.
You're the guy who wants him the most. Who's that fucking
names lose out of my head.
This is just proof he's fucking irrelevant.
I mean, ask me to name 5 characters in One Piece. I can't do it now.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, you can.
You're a fucking liar.
Luffy, Robin, Frankie,
Marco.
Yeah, Marco.
Of course.
After the main, for a fact you're shitting me right now.
After the main,
Marco and Polo.
Yeah. They're probably
but I hope if there's ever another Smash, they kind of remove the Mii characters, because it's been an excuse to kind of skip on some cool characters.
Okay, I don't think that is so rude to say skip when they're putting when they've given us the
dude. We don't deserve another Smash ever again.
We didn't deserve this one. Humanity did not deserve Ultimate, but we got it.
No, we did it. This is me being a crying little jerk of a fan. That's like, if anything ever exists again
in the world. One of them was that there was always a new Smash character on the horizon, and now that's gone. So who knows what the future's going to bring?
If we ever get another Smash, expect the roster to cut in half or more, and you'd be grateful about it.
Yeah. On that note, hot controversial take, I want them to never make another Smash. I want them to keep porting Ultimate with 1 or 2 new characters each console. I want them to make an arena fighter or something like that.
That would be cool.
Because you can't top what we have right now. So how about someone in the world needs to make a good arena fighter, because they're too rare. They're usually shitty.
Apply the Smash philosophy to a slightly different genre, either like an arena fighter or a 2D fighter.
Going to Fortnite, you can play as Chun-Li and Ryu.
It could be a third person, like, kind of Fortnite-y battle royale thing, but I feel like it'll be kind of... I hope it'll be a little outdated by the time they get to the next Smash project. Please, God.
You would think that.
I would hope.
I really like crossovers. I wish we had more of them in video games. And I say this, and Magic the Gathering announced they're doing crossover sets with a bunch of different brands like Warhammer and Lord of the Rings. And my initial reaction was like, oh, that's so cool. I love the idea of taking Magic mechanics and applying other things to them.
And then let me guess, just based on your tone, and then everyone hated it.
Everyone fucking hated it. I was just like...
Well, people don't like fun. All right.
They don't.
I don't even recognize 95% of the Smash characters in the roster. Where's Heavy? Christ.
Yeah, if you're on the TF2 subreddit, we're making fun of you.
Yeah.
Mad boys.
Get the fuck out of here. Hose man.
All right.
Okay, let's get to topics. Joe, what the hell's Oath? Is this a board game?
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So 2 weeks ago was my birthday.
Happy birthday.
Yeah.
But,
we went walking around to the small little Asian district near Willer and Bradley's place, and we came across a board game store. I was like, well, I've got to go in here. Fuck. And I found a game called Oath, which is made by the people who do Root, which means nothing to y'all, but if you've in the board game space, that means something to you. So Oath is a game about generational empires, kind of. One character plays the Chancellor, who is the king of the empire, and then everyone else plays as exiles who want to overthrow the Chancellor. The Chancellor has an oath they are keeping. So the first game you play is the Oath of Conquest, which is you just hold the most territories. So to win the game, you have to hold the oath for 2 turns in a row if you're an exile, or for 8 turns in total if you are the Chancellor. Or you have to make it to the end of the 8th term as the Chancellor with the oath. So you do that by kind of coming across like citizens of the land, giving them homes, and when you give them a home, they give you a little coin as like favor, saying thank you for the home. And you can spend the coins to muster armies, to gather secrets to use with other citizens. You do all these different things like economic interactions. So what makes Oath interesting is that there's about 6 different victory conditions in the game. So there's the one primary condition that anyone can go for, and a Chancellor can only go for. But as you're being introduced to more citizens of the land, you can find a vision, which is like have the most secrets, have the most favor, have the most relics in the game.
So you're given mid game, you're given mid game another win condition.
Yeah, you're given mid game. So you don't even know if you're going to grab a vision until you pick one up. So, but the thing about visions is that with the oath, you have to hold it for 2 turns. If you for the vision, you just have to hold its qualification for 1 turn. So that makes you very dangerous to everyone else. So you end up having this game where you have all these different victory conditions going on at the same time, that when your turn comes around, you have to be like, this is how I'm going to win. But that person who's sitting next to me will literally win next turn if I don't stop them. So I need to stop them. So you have this weird diplomatic thing where you're talking to the person across from you to do something for you to stop this person, and you make alliances while you're doing this.
In my opinion, that is the number one fun thing in any board game is when you're going against each other is the diplomacy you have to do no matter what, even if it's not a political game, to screw over one person.
So here's where Oath gets interesting. Oath is a game that remembers. So whenever you play Oath and you finish the game, the person who wins the game is the next Chancellor in the next game. And then gets to pick the oath that they are keeping for the next game. Any of the citizens that were working with anyone else that lost that game gets kicked out of the kingdom and gets removed from the game. There's a whole different packet of citizens in there.
So you lose your character and you can't you permadeath the character you used that round.
Yeah, basically they get put into a different part of the box. And then the person with Chancellor, whoever they were using the most of gets added into the deck even more. So you kind of stack the deck in your favor for next game. Additionally, you can choose players to be on your side for the next game. So if Willer and I work together to make me win, I can make Willer a citizen for next game. And so next game, he is on my team and gives him an easier victory condition to get in the next game. Which makes it super interesting because every time you play, you're playing the same game, but it's a whole different scenario every time, basically. People could be in a different starting location, different position. For the first game we played, I started off with 3 territories and I lost because someone completed their vision. But they didn't have any territories. So when we started the next game, they started with 1 area and the rest of the board was free game for everyone to go and conquer. So it was just really interesting to play. I really enjoy the game. I want to play it again with friends. And it's such an interesting concept too. And there's other small things like the economy is a closed economy. So if you spend money, it's permanently out of that game until the next game. So you can like dwindle resources in different factions of citizens.
So you can't land on no free parking in this bitch and get all the money from the middle.
No, it's gone. It's forever.
How long's the game?
It's very much a game you play with like the same group of people.
Yeah.
So that's what I really like about this game. It's a legacy game that doesn't require you to have the same group of people.
But what happens if you show up to a game and 2 people won last time they played?
Yeah.
Only one person can win. So like,
but the point is like you show up like with 2 new people in a group of like 4 that played last time. Like what happens?
Well, whoever wins is Chancellor, and then the other people get to be exiles. That's basically what it is.
If the Chancellor's like, y'all playing with y'all sucks, and then he leaves your friend group forever, what do you do?
You just pick a random dude to be the next person. Or if there's a citizen in that game, which is like the Chancellor's teammates, they become the Chancellor.
I guess what you do is like you keep the dead ones, and it's like, okay, we're starting a new batch, but like these are dead in our current like campaign.
And what's also really good is that this is a legacy game that's very easily resettable. So, for example, like a game like Gloomhaven, like you have all of these like temporary parts, like stickers that you put on this board, and you have notepads that you use. So, like, you don't get to do. If I move, I don't get to do that with my friends again, unless I buy a whole new box of Gloomhaven. With
how long's a round?
A round is like about an hour and a half or an hour, depending on like how fast you're going, which is not bad.
And then question 2, is this like a good game for tabletop sim? Because I feel like this could be a good game to throw on the Discord maybe and like have everyone bitching at each other and betraying each other and all that fun stuff.
I think it would be a good tabletop sim. The one problem I have with the game is your first game is always like a wash. Like everyone has to learn what they're doing and what's going on, and you kind of have to play the game to the end so you can see how the game resolves itself.
So you have to play the second round.
So you have to play the second round.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Because we finished, we're like, that was weird, but we kind of enjoyed it, but let's play again. And we played it again, and like, everyone except for one person was like, this was really fun. I really enjoyed this.
It's the anti-Donna skit where he's like, why have I been collecting all the wood?
It's exactly that skit. After I finished the game,
once I got it, it was great.
I really recommend it. It's hella expensive. It's about $110.
So tabletop
sim.
Cool. I have my own, but it was my own birthday gift to me. The art in it is fantastic. I love it.
I gifted Joe a Kingdom Hearts game that I played with him and Bradley, and that was a good fun, head empty, good time that really brought out some nostalgia because like the win condition is like reenact the ending of Kingdom Hearts 1 with these paces. Shit was cool.
That was a really fun game too, and I've tried playing Talisman, like the classic version, multiple times, and it's just such a headache. And I feel like, I don't know what they did in this version, but this version was just so much better.
In this version, I got to be Mickey.
Yeah,
I was Goofy, and I had 2 Keyblades.
Yeah, you did.
Dual wield Bradley, but then like near the end, Joe just broke away so hard that we're like, how did this happen? Like he got such a lead near the mid end.
Every single turn was so fun to me. Like going to Agrabah, I was like, hell yeah. Oh no. And then I landed in Neverland, and I spawned like 3 bosses. I spawned like Hades, Oogie Boogie, and Jafar all in Neverland, and we're like, we are never gonna land there again.
Yeah, because you had the choice of going either left or right a lot of the times, and sometimes both choices are gonna fuck you, and I think that's where the fun comes in.
Yeah, it's really fun.
Looking forward.
That was a great gift, by the way, and they have great miniatures that I love. It's made by Game Workshop.
You should bring it next time.
I will. Very simple to play and very simple to set up and do. But that's Oath, and I guess Kingdom Hearts a little bit. But yeah,
cool. We should try that out at some point. Me and Tyler have been playing New World. It's an MMO, which is not my usual wheelbarrow, but
it's a new world for Willer.
Hey, I mean, it's not a new world; it's an abandoned world. I've been there before. I just don't go back.
So New World is Amazon's first MMO It's mainly utilizing their Lumberyard engine, which it's actually been a success this time. I think they've struggled with Lumberyard for quite a few years.
Yeah, I was gonna say, watching the video play of y'all playing it and some other streamers play it, like it seems to be like holding up pretty well, especially for like a new engine.
I think all the concerns are like either systematic or like not meta, but like kind of overarching account stuff, like not being able to transfer when they promised you'd be able to transfer like servers, like weird outside of the gameplay stuff is the complaints I've seen.
Yeah, a lot of the people like on Steam right now, I think it has like a mixed review rating because it got review bombed on the first day because people were pissed they couldn't get into servers when there was a lot of servers available and they just didn't want to play on those empty servers.
I feel like also part of it is to like, because I know Final Fantasy does this where like they will just bottleneck you going in so you don't crash the server because everyone tries to log in.
I don't know, but the queue is like 200 deep. Yeah,
I haven't been in a queue since the first week.
Yeah, it was only the first week where it was like hot. Now it's just normal hot.
But we're also in a mid-population server. We don't really have issues like that. I don't even know what like the high population servers are, to be honest.
I have no idea for mid or low or whatever.
But this game doesn't do anything new, but it just kind of got everything. And it did everything well, which is difficult for some games to do.
I'd say what it has new is combat, because this plays like an action game as opposed to an MMO.
Yes.
You take damage and you recoil, and there's active frames in your attack that you can't cancel out of it, Dark Souls style. It's a third person, like you have attacks on cooldowns, but you shove the enemy and like you interact with the enemy in ways that I think MMOs are really poor at doing. So it just feels like a really big action, like I'm not gonna say fully Soul style combat, but it's approaching it.
It intertwines PvE and PvP content pretty well. So the game focuses around PvP. And like different companies holding different territories, and there's 3 different factions that your companies can belong to. And so while your faction holds a territory, you get certain benefits in that territory. Not game breaking, but definitely apparent.
I think more important is like you give everyone else a detriment, which is taxes or whatever. So like if I hold this territory and you have to come here, you have to pay more for stuff. I think
your tax no matter what faction is. It's just the owning company sets the tax rates. So like there's a lot of wars that happen. Like in order to influence a war, it requires some PvE/PvP content. Like in order to make a war happen, the content is PvE, but you have to be in PvP mode to do that content. So other players could kill you while you're trying to do the PvE content, which is kind of cool.
What are you doing? Are you killing like boars and chopping down trees?
So whenever you try to influence a war, each territory has like a % influence by the other 2 factions. So whenever you want to gain influence over a territory in order to start a war, everybody in that territory has 3 quests they do in order to gain influence. It's kill something, find something, stand in a spot, or deliver intel.
Yes, a classic war static.
Collect a resource, I think, is like
you collect a resource at one point and then deliver it to another point, and it's like, so that's the main one because that quest is infinite, and the main way wars have been commencing is like mass groups of people of like 30 or 40 players at a time will spam this quest, and we'll start a war, and a war will happen like every other day. Now,
apparently.
Yeah, apparently developers said the numbers are broken right now and way too many wars are happening. They should not be happening more. Like, it should not be happening. There should be a war maybe once a week.
Yeah.
Apparently.
So once a day?
It was once a day. Every 2 days, basically, we were at war.
Yeah.
What's fun is like, so because everyone has access to this PvP quest, you might run into another group. So what happens is Tyler and I joined this big train of people, And as we were going, we got flanked by an equally sized train of the other clan who were like specifically going to kill us. Like they weren't like, we came out the west gate. They came out the north gate and like circled in on us. We got obliterated. I don't know if the group finished that quest, but every one of our friends just like died a straggler in the back as we're trying to like hold them back. I'm just trying to shoot them in the face and they're like rushing us.
I don't like PvP. In most things, I don't like player versus player content, but this does it in a way of real mob mentality that makes it just silly fun that I don't have to take seriously.
I think it's really good PvP content.
I think the game sounds really interesting. It's definitely like an EVE Online scenario where I love hearing about what's happening in the game, but like I have no interest.
Yeah.
What'd you say?
Yo,
you like hearing about it, but it's intimidating. Like start that whole.
There's no classes, so you're never locked into anything, which is nice.
See, that's a negative for me. But go on.
But there's builds you do, and I normally like to specialize in something to feel value. But in this game, it feels nice to be able to just kind of do whatever I want at any given time.
I'd say there are classes. It's your weapon. Your weapon has its skill tree and. It's like Final Fantasy, where you're like, I'm gonna max out my spear, and then I can also max out my gun, and then my frost staff.
Yeah, it's DPS, tank, and healer, and it's like Guild Wars 2, where you go between the two weapons a lot during combat, and you can do builds that way. And then you have attributes like strength, dexterity, intelligence, focus, and constitution that you spec up into as well as you level up.
Yeah, I guess those are the limiters. Like, I can't do a magic class because I'm speccing, and well, I guess I could, but there's certain classes I won't be able to do.
But yeah, you can like switch between any of the weapons at any given time if you're doing PvE content, and just like play around and enjoy them. It's nice. It's like colonial fantasy magic setting too, which is weird because it's like I'm fighting giant werewolves, and I look like I just colonized Roanoke.
God, that's the thing though, is I love that setting. That's been like a setting that's been, I thought, untapped for years, is that colonial kind of like musket setting.
Yeah.
So I think that's really cool that they went with that.
It's neat. There's trade skills too. Like there's a huge, robust crafting system.
And like some of our friends are getting into it. Like so's Tyler. Like he's all about hemp.
Yeah. It's on par, I'd say, with like what is that game that everybody loves to just do the mundane chores in?
Final Fantasy 14?
RuneScape? No, RuneScape. Yeah. Where you just go gather a lot of stuff. You pick up 90,000 rocks and then you go refine them at the forge.
Yeah.
And then your forge goes up as well.
I kind of want an MMO.
It just because it's much more fun to play moment to moment than RuneScape.
You know what would be fun is that if there was an MMO where you did have that combat side, but like you can opt into, instead of leveling up via combat, you can opt in to level up via the crafting system, which I guess you can do. But like, I want something like the Pokemon contest kind of thing, where like your dungeons are like maybe a contest or a crafting workshop or something that's a little bit more engaging for you to do and a little bit more challenging, so you can get that like crafting side of things, but you can also have the engaging, intelligent, like...
I feel like you're describing Toontown in a way, from what I understand, where like it's not...
Toontown's combat, turn-based combat.
Well, it's not all about combat, because I feel like a lot of the times I heard them playing Toontown, it's like, oh, we're going to go do the racing... Like, there's mini games that you compete in. I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, Bradley.
What Joe's actually describing is Fantasy Life for 3DS.
Damn.
He's not wrong.
We talked about it in the 5th podcast randomly. I remember that.
Fantasy Life is a fun game. I just, I wish it was a more console big game. It's a bit small.
Me too. That company made more games, but I think they stuck to like a mobile, which kind of made everyone sad.
We need a Switch release.
The story is lacking. There isn't really a story. Like there is, but it doesn't break boundaries or anything. It just exists. The game is meant to be mostly player driven. Like there's no NPCs like vendors in the game. Like the entire economy is done through players.
Yeah.
I really like that because that matters a lot more, and it feels like the stuff you pick up matters a lot more. And what it does is that so long as everything has a value to it in some way, like crafting, people are going to buy and sell it. It's kind of like a Monster Hunter. Like, yeah, we're going to hunt this low level monster with Tyler, but it's still viable for Willer and I because we can sell those parts. We get bonus things like
the really cool thing about the market is there's a different market for each territory. So the market of supply and demand in a high level territory that has a lot of maybe low level items are going to be significantly cheaper than in the low level territory where there's an abundance of them, and or like there's not a lot of bags in the low level area because not a lot of people have access to those materials, but there may be a lot of bags in the high level area, so they might be cheaper.
Systems. It's got cool systems.
Yeah. It's not terrible. It's a one-time purchase of $40 as well. MMO one-time purchase.
I'll take it.
Yeah. Not microtransaction or loot box influenced or grind heavy in terms of you have to do this dungeon 3 times a week in order to get
all that stuff will come in year 2. So get in while you can.
Amazon does not need to make money.
Yeah,
this is not a cash grab game.
They'll find a way.
Yeah, they will find a way probably down the road, but this game at launch does not feel like it's meant to abuse me and take all my money.
Yeah. I'm sure it's sold well.
Yeah, for the first time today, while we're talking about this, I opened up the microtransaction store for the first time. I didn't even know. I looked at this menu multiple times and I never even acknowledged that tab.
How can you even get there? I feel like that steps on your point.
You can get dye consumables, but there's only 5. There's 3 emotes, 6 armor skins, 9 weapon skins. Nothing exists in this store. They didn't launch it with content in order to sell because they don't need it.
We'll see. We'll see how that turns out. Hopefully positive. Anyways, if you're listening to this and you want to check out New World, join the Syndicate, which is the purple faction.
Hit us up on City of Brest server, East Coast. That's where we're at. You find us and get...
Yeah, City of Brest Syndicate. Go find Zanzuki. Ask the townsfolk. They'll know.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, you see us around. Add Zanzi. That's me.
There we go, Zanzi.
Yeah, whisper me. That way I just don't ignore it because I don't add people I don't know. Stranger danger.
Oh, we're heading straight into some good stranger danger. Okay, I'll shift the schedule a little bit so I don't talk 3 times in a row.
All right.
But I finished The Great Ace Attorney, which I talked about briefly.
Oh yeah.
I won't say too much because I don't want to spoil things for Joe.
But Willer.
Oh, but Bradley.
Sora gets in, Ace Attorney doesn't.
So the joke is Phoenix did the litigation against Disney to get Sora into Smash.
I like the headcanon.
At his own expense, of course, because
no, he yeah.
Someone made a cute little comic about it.
That's funny.
So the Great Ace Attorney, I've explained it before, but these were games only available in Japan. And I was saying last week, it's amazing when your franchise has a hidden game that I didn't even know the second one existed, and it turns out it's the best in the series. And since I finished it, I will stick with it. I think particularly the second game of this collection is the most well-rounded, best game in the series. Now, I will say I might like 1 or 2 of them more, mostly because of the mysteries and I think the final case in this is lacking a bit of pizzazz. It's very story-focused. And the thing about Ace Attorney is there's a lot of games that can tell a good story. There's not a lot of games that can give you the Ace Attorney adrenaline mystery high. So while I appreciate this easily has the best story of any Ace Attorney game, I feel like I don't know, I can play 13 Sentinels for a good story or a fucking Yakuza game, you know. But so I feel like in the things that I like Ace Attorney the most, I will still say Spirit of Justice and Trials and Tribulations, which are the 6th and 3rd game, respectively, might edge it out slightly. It's close. They're all very close. So it's in my top 3, and no matter what day you ask me, it's going to change the order. So,
I think mechanically, the game is a lot more interesting to play. You have a lot more different ways of interacting with your witnesses, your prosecutor, the evidence. I think these games, modern wise, they're just a lot more fun gamify, if that makes sense.
The mechanics are more refined.
1 and 2. you go back to 1 and 2, and they're very, very simple. And they pretty much, like, I don't think 2 has very many different, like, mechanics other than the Psylocks. Yeah. And even then, they're just the same thing, presenting evidence for contradiction.
Yeah, but they got cool presentation.
They do, but this game's got like the 3D, and so you're moving things around, and then you're opening stuff, and you're putting stuff together.
Well, it's got the jury, which is a huge departure.
Yeah. The deduction sequences are also...
The highlight of the last case is the dance of deduction in that case. It is so cool.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
But
you don't know?
I don't know. But like going off of the first game, because I think by the time we were talking about this, we hadn't finished the first game yet. Maybe
we had. Last time
we
were already on 2, I think.
Okay, I guess so. But like, you know, Ace Attorney gets that great high of like you're going through this and you're just like, where the fuck is this going? And not in a like a contrived way. Like I want to see where this is going, and then you know you get reintroduced to the cat door gun, and everything just becomes super clear.
The cat door gun. Yeah, like, this is the best one because it's riding on the shoulders of the first one. So they're a duology and they were written together, and it really shows. Man, some of the stuff with, like, that message at the end of the first game gets explained, and it's really cool. Also, the breakdown for the final villain is one of the coolest breakdowns of the series. So I hope you're looking forward to that. I will say the best case is the third one in this one for me. And the fourth and fifth case are kind of one big case, so look forward to that.
Yeah, I was getting that feeling because I was playing the fourth case right now, and like, you told me like it ends very differently.
It's
structure.
Yeah, it's like, structurally, it's very different. If there's like I don't want to say too much because I don't want to spoil Joe, but for the last case being called the Resolve of Ryunosuke Naruhodo, which is the main character, the case was mostly about someone else. So I feel like that name was a little wasted. It was very, very epic, but like Ryunosuke just kind of did his thing there at the end.
I think that one negative is actually my one negative. I have big negative about the game is that I think Ryunosuke's voice actor is not the greatest.
He's bad. I think he's bad.
Yeah, because like one of those things is just like those powerful objections from your attorney.
Van Sykes has a great objection.
Yeah. But yeah.
Hearing people talk about this series must be so surreal. It's like talking about objection sound clips. Who gives a fuck? I'm like, no, trust me. It's important.
Trust me.
The music's important. The posing of the characters. It's all very important to create the vibe.
I don't know if I talked about this in the podcast, but I talked about you, Willer. But like, I realized after watching the anime, I think the games themselves are such a mastery of like actual like storytelling, presentation, cinematography, because like that's how you have to keep them.
Yeah, it's doing like the heavy lifting is through the little details to keep you engaged.
And it's from the brief pauses. It's from like the slow camera zooms, the changes of like musical tones, the changes of the dialogue boops, and like how they're like
even the dialogue boops matter. That is such a good point. Man, whenever they do like when the court goes silent and it goes from like the lawyer to the prosecutor and like they're facing off against each other, it's like ooh, spice.
Yeah, you had to play this game with sound. Playing this without sound is like a crime.
Defeats the purpose. But yeah, the best game in the series. I can't believe they snuck that past me. Please announce the new one. And we'll save that. We might do a special episode on this game with me and Joe once he finishes. Also, Joe, now that you've gotten to Venus, you need to share her with Bradley because her design is so S tier. Okay.
Oh, I will. She's a firecracker.
Do we do No Time to Die or Squid Games? Who hasn't talked in a while?
Bradley. But Bradley's dealing with kitty problems, so maybe we take a quick break?
Yeah, let's take a quick break.
Good.
I do have a question for Bradley now that he's back.
Yeah.
Bradley, are you a kid or are you a squid?
I'm an octoling.
Okay, well, this is your cue to talk about Squid Game then. You went with neither. Octolings do look cooler.
I don't know how fair it is if I haven't finished the show yet, but I'm loving every fucking episode so far.
So how far are you and how many? Is it like 9 episodes, I think I saw?
9 episodes, and me and Emily are on episode 5, and it was funny, she pulled up the I didn't know anything about Squid Game going in. I thought it was an anime, and it is, but it's not. It's live action, and I didn't even know the premise of the show. So she had pulled up like the info page, and I read the info page. I was like, "Oh, this is Kaiji. I wonder when she's like." Like I literally read the description for the show and thought it was Kaiji, and I was like, "Oh, I guess she hasn't navigated over to Squid Game yet."
Oh,
yeah.
But you know what? Kaiji's cool, which means Squid Game is cool.
Yeah. So I don't even know the premise for this thing. I've tried to stay unspoiled. All I know is I've seen so much of some weird doll, some weird Korean fucking doll or statue or something that is all over Twitter. I don't know what the deal with that is.
It's just it's just like the gimmick from the first episode or second episode.
It's really cool though. I don't know, and I'm really endeared to so many of the main characters because a lot of them are in problems that they created themselves, but at the same time you can tell they're not bad people. They're kind of, some of them are dumb and reckless, but I think a lot of them are just kind of victims of either bad habits or like systems society deliberately puts in place to kind of prey on poor people. And I think that's kind of a lot of what goes into Squid Game. Granted, I haven't seen the last 4 episodes, but like I see a lot of people online debating about like, and I mean, this isn't really a spoiler, like this happens halfway through the first episode. Basically, these people are, you know, playing these games to either win a shitload of money or die. But they opt into playing these. And so I see people debate online constantly about like, well, the people running the games aren't doing anything immoral because, you know, they gave the people the choice to play the games. They signed up for it. And then I think the counter argument is like, okay, well, they're deliberately targeting people who can't say no because if they don't get money, they will die. So
that's a lot of Kaiji's first season.
Yeah, exactly.
Everything you've said is 1-to-1 in Kaiji, so that's incredible.
Yeah.
So I wonder if I'll like it as much having like read Kaiji. Like, and I don't know, man. I can't see Squid Game pulling out the pachinko season. Tyler, you got some things you want to say?
Shit.
Oh, you're muted.
Oh.
What takes do we have incoming?
I don't think it's bad. I do like Kaiji more, just because I watched it first. It, you know, might not necessarily objectively be better. Pachinko season is better than anything I've seen so far. Like, Pachinko season up there, man.
Fucking, let's tilt the whole goddamn building.
It's just an anime. Like, it's a show written literally in the style of an anime. It's live action, and people are experiencing anime.
I do wonder if it's catching on because it's got the amazing premise of Kaiji, but Kaiji's ugly as fuck, so no one's gonna watch it. Also, it's not available to anyone.
That might be what's going on.
I feel like that's what's happening here. But hey, people seem to be liking it, so...
So, place your bets. How many years until anime movies, style movies, are the next big thing?
Anime style... Oh,
so
Joe, I have a really, well, I don't know if they're the next big thing, but there is a world of Netflix that I've been like introduced to, which is like K-dramas and Korean movies are straight up fucking anime. They're ridiculous.
But like if it's catching on now in America, it means it's getting much, much bigger.
Yeah.
So probably like how many years into the future, like it's going to be big in America where we live, where like it's going to basically be because like Marvel, I would say, is the big media like cultural milestone of our generation.
Yeah.
Where it's been around for 10 years and it kind of like has been a big media driver for the past 10 years that it's been around and maybe going a little bit more forward. So much so that tons of other companies have tried to mirror its success with its cinematic universe. So there's going to be a point where like the anime style-esque bombastic like live action stuff is going to become so mainstream that everyone's going to be chasing it.
Maybe. I thought you were going to ask how long till there's, and I think this is more likely, how long until there's a shitty American remake. Now,
that always happens. I don't care about that.
Now, the thing is, it might not happen this time, and any other time this was a lock. It might not happen just because this one blew up and people would finally see through it, and like it wouldn't be as good, clearly, because they never are. With the exception of like what The Office is maybe better in English, debatably. They're both in English. That was a stupid sentence. Anyways, Bradley and Tyler, do you like the games they play? Are they more physical? Are they psychological? Or like, what are we? Are they interesting?
They're based on children's games from Korea.
So Kaiji they're all child.
Yeah, it's literally children's game, dude. It is literally Kaiji. Like there is no.
They're not on a boat this time though.
Okay, sure. They're not on a. Actually, I don't know that they're not on a boat. I don't.
I think probably if I had to pick a difference is like, obviously Squid Game's going to be a little bit more grounded in reality, and I think they spend a lot more of like the runtime of the show outside the games as well as inside the games. Mm-hmm. Like you see a lot of these people living their daily life too, and understand like why they would want to be here. So
interesting. And
there's other characters that aren't as big nobody's as big a piece of shit as Kaiji, so there is that difference. Kaiji's much higher stakes.
Okay. I see what you mean by a piece of shit. I was like, there's people worse than Kaiji and Kaiji.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. If the main character is like Kaiji, it must be an uncomfortable time because it's like, I like you, dude, but fucking stop.
Yeah, nobody's like that in this. Like, that's what I think makes Kaiji much more entertaining is like, Kaiji, quit being a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Kaiji, why are you bending your ear?
But the way the way Bradley explains it is like, it seems like some of these people do have bad habits that keep bringing them back, which is like a important psychological part of like, these are gamblers who got themselves in this situation.
Yeah.
It's the thing, like, you'll see this guy, like, you'll see like one character fucking gamble their money away. And you're like, oh, man, fuck you. Like, you're just irresponsible. You don't know shit. And then it's like, okay, well, I don't know. He just wants to buy his daughter a birthday present, and I love him.
That's interesting, because...
He's talking about the same character.
No. I think that's interesting because, like, they try to give the humanizing back motivation, while in Kaiji, it's like, oh, no, his brain just broke one day, and he has to, like... It's like the movie Uncut Gems, which I don't think any of y'all seen, where like it's a problem for people. So that's always interesting, but very frustrating to sit through. So
that's the thing.
I might like having like the nicer like buy something for the daughter motivation as well.
That's the thing. Like I don't know how much I can speak for the villains, but like pretty much all the people participating in the game, like for most of them, I can see how like a person would get there to that point in life.
Villains are nowhere near as good as Kaiji. Villains are literally blank faces that you're seeing all over the internet right now.
With the triangle?
They're just masks and have nothing to them from what I've seen experience so far.
It's about society, man.
Do we live in a society?
Dude, Kaiji's villains, though, sadistic.
Mobster Man, the guy he plays the card game with is so good he gets his own spin-off show.
Tanagawa,
yeah.
Fucking big nose motherfuckers, assholes.
Yo, the loan shark though from Kaiji.
Oh, dude, his fucking arc. Anyways,
the loan shark.
My last question is: do they explain why they're called squids, and is it a good explanation, or is it just like?
No, it's literally based off of a children's Korean game.
They do explain the squid thing. It's like the first thing that happens in the first episode.
I figured it'd be early. It's like you're squids because at the end of the day you all ink something. I know that's not the answer, but like I imagine it's like something.
Well, it made me ink.
No, Squid Game is a children's game they play in Korea.
Okay, that too. All right, that makes sense.
That's
also worth noting. I think the show is very, very beautiful to look at. I love all the environments and the colors and the lighting.
Yeah, every shot I've seen is like the saturation of the colors is like off the chain.
Big fan.
Yeah,
I guess
I like it much. I like it much better than the last Korea Netflix show I watched, which was the Monster Show in the apartment building.
Yeah.
I like it more than that. So
doesn't look as good as Kaiji though.
Yeah, Kaiji's on another level.
I doubt this. Kaiji's a fucking Uggo manga, Uggo show that I'd still enjoy.
But it makes it so good.
The ugliness is part of the charm. This leads me into the show. I've watched 2 big shows since the last podcast because I was just in the mood. I kind of crushed these. One of them I did it in one day, but it was only 8 episodes. But that's still like a little over 8 hours. One is The Leftovers, and I'll ask for both shows. Do you all have any idea what the show is? Have you ever heard of it?
Oh,
is The Leftovers about the rapture?
Yes, kind
of.
Shit. So, the premise of The Leftovers is one day, spontaneously, 2% of the planet disappear. They're just fucking gone. And we pick up immediately after, 3 years later, and you get to see how humanity is coping with the fact that they don't know if they'll ever get an answer to why everyone disappeared. Was it a rapture?
Yeah.
They've done so much research into it, where it's like there seems to be no discernible pattern. Babies were taken, bad people were taken, good people were taken, a bunch of celebrities were taken, which Shaq including one of them, rest in peace or whatever you went. Like they have a little show of like everyone that disappeared. And yeah, but the show is really about the leftovers, the ones left behind. And humanity's kind of a fucked up place now. People are a little bit crazier. Life still goes on, right? But there's a couple of cults throughout the country. The main one that we deal with throughout the show is God, what are they called? I think they're usually called by their acronym, but like they're people who dress in all white and stand around and harass people non-verbally. And
Ku Klux Klan?
No, they're not the Ku Klux Klan. They don't wear the hood. That's where, or the robe. But they're always dressed in white. And they just stand there harassing you, and their whole point is that, like, they don't want humanity to move on, because one day, like, the world ended to them, and they want people to remember in a painful way. But it's kind of hypocritical, as cults tend to be, because it's like, no one's really forgotten. They're trying to forget, but no one's ever going to really forget. And our cast of main characters are fantastic. The main character's called Kevin, and he's an extremely hot cop person.
Yeah.
Wow, his body's fucking ridiculous. And he is just a mess who is getting crazier and crazier like his dad every day. And he's kind of losing his grip on reality. And a dude showing up and he's like, hey, you want to shoot these dogs? All the dogs have been going crazy. It's like, what the fuck is going on with this world? There's a deer that's harassing him. And there's just a lot of symbolism and metaphors in this show. Very biblical at times. And it's fucking phenomenal. Like it takes a while to get into it though. It's not until like around the 3rd episode where they have a standalone episode for a priest in the series. And he's a very interesting character. I was talking to Keith about this show, and like that's Keith's favorite character. And it's not until then where it really starts hitting its stride. And then like near the end of the season 1, the show goes from being like, this was interesting to like, oh wow, this is really good, because the first few episodes of every season, you were just completely confused what is going on. I was completely lost, and I went back and checked like, what were people thinking about when this show came out? And because by the end of it, I know it's a beloved show, but as they were going through it, I'm sure people were very confused, and like, yeah, they were completely lost. Margaret Qualley's in this show, if you know her. Very attractive and good actress who plays Kevin's daughter. My favorite character is a character named Nora. She is one day, so on the day of the leftovers, the rapture or whatever it may be, Nora lost her entire family. So most people, it's 2% of the planet. So most people will like lose 1 or 2 people they know. On that day, Nora was like in the kitchen, kind of doing like the mom thing where it's like, everyone shut up, I'm trying to cook breakfast. And she turns around and her entire family's gone. And she is just a broken woman as a result. To like one of the first scenes we see with her, she's hiring a prostitute to come over and shoot her in the chest while she wears a bulletproof vest, just so she can feel something. It's like, oh, you were just gone. You were just completely gone. And then she has a fantastic romance with the character Kevin. I say that like as if it's all good. It is the fucking weirdest shit. Their romance is the romance that only 2 extremely broken people could have. And, so this is a show by the same people that did Lost. I think Lost is a phenomenal show. mostly for the characters. And I've been rewatching some of it. Lost answers a lot of things, and then it bullshitted a lot of other things, and that made people very angry. Also, people don't understand the last season of Lost.
Like the smoky polar bear?
Well, the smoke creature and the polar bear are different things, Tyler. Everyone knows this.
I don't.
That one's made clear throughout the show, okay? This show, you can tell that like it's an expectations thing, because people came into this show expecting not to get answers, and I think that's why they're able to see the story for what it is. It's the story of the people left behind. And in many ways, this answers a lot of questions and then leaves a lot of them vague. But people actually like this show. And I think it really is just an expectations thing and how you frame it.
Is the show over or is it still going on?
It was 3 seasons that aired around 2017, 2018, 2019.
Okay. Where are you watching this?
my oceans.
Okay, cool.
I think you can watch it in HBO. HBO is the one subscription that I keep avoiding, even though everything I want to watch is on it, which fucking sucks.
Yeah.
So I have to keep being a dirty boy instead of just paying.
I have a job now. I can probably get one.
I think this show. So which one of y'all would I recommend this show to? I think Bradley, most of all. I think you would like kind of like the concept and how the storylines play out.
I kind of like the mystery.
And I will say, you might be wondering, do they explain what happened to the people or why it happened?
That would ruin the show, though.
Now, there's a what happened and why happened, right? I'll say one of those is explained, but some people dispute that they believe the explanation. So I'll just say that.
It sounds like a Junji Ito comic, kind of.
Yeah, this is a Junji Ito show.
Yeah.
I kind of like that form of spoiler you just gave, where it's like, here's 2 things you would definitely want to know. One of them does get confirmed, so like now I'm like, ooh.
And the other one that's less confirmed, you can make some pretty good theories for. So they gave you some breadcrumbs to work out with both of the big questions. Man,
I feel like this is like, man, I like the concept in general of just not knowing. And like having and seeing the characters deal with the fact that like I don't know what happened.
You can equally walk out knowing and feeling like you don't know, because truly we don't get to see the answer at play.
Do we see the event take place, or is it like
first scene of the show? Okay. The event takes place, but then in the penultimate episode of the 2nd season, you have maybe the first, you have a flashback to the day it happened to all the characters you now know. The first time you see it, it's just happening with random characters on a street, and you get like that feeling of like a mom is like telling her baby to stop crying, and it's in the back seat, and then all of a sudden the baby stops, and she looks around, and then a car crashes in the background of the frame because the driver disappeared, and everyone's walking out of the store like, what the fuck happened? But then, later in the show, you get to see the exact moment it happened for all the main characters, and it is incredibly cool.
You know what? This is reminding me that I never got far enough into Dr. Stone to learn why everyone turned to stone.
Man, I'm waiting on that to end so I can just read it all.
I believe now.
Huh?
They're moving on to the final arc, I believe now.
Yeah, so we'll get an answer one day. I'm excited.
Has Senku fucked his harem yet?
No, yes. Senku would never ever.
Yeah, you're right. He doesn't. He's married to science.
He's worried about he wants to be the best for humanity, so he's gonna procreate.
But that's a good point.
Yeah.
This is a pretty similar hook that a Dr. Stone would have, where big incident happens, but Dr. Stone will give us the answer. I think pretty conclusively.
I feel like the difference is the morbidity of it. Like Dr. Stone, like you're like, all right, we're working towards fixing this.
This is completely like, character driven.
Yeah, this is like you just gotta live with it because there's no for this.
It's like the Thanos snap happened with the Avengers.
But the shit in the last season, do you gotta live with it? I don't know. There is an element of the show that's super. It's like the coolest part of the show by far. If anyone watches it or has watched it, it's the stuff with Kevin in the hotel. It's very not science, like it's very I won't even say realistic. It's very fantastical and it's the coolest shit. And cool. I feel like that plot thread needs to be explained to me through a theory video that I might look up after this.
Through interpretive dance.
It's very, very interpretive stuff happens to the main character.
The interpretive dance called sex.
Oh, man.
Ooh.
Oh, let me tell you. I don't know. Is this a spoiler? The main character, at the moment that the rapture happened, was cheating on his wife. And the person disappears mid-coitus.
Oh, dope.
And he's like looking around the room, like covering, like bringing up the sheets. It's like, what the fuck just happened?
What the worst case of blue balls ever?
Well, probably like I fucked her out of existence. I'm a god. Anyways, that's show one. The second show I watched, The Leftovers was great. The second one I would say is arguably even better. It's called Euphoria.
Zendaya does drugs.
Do y'all know anything about this show? Joe knows a thing.
Zendaya does drugs.
You ever hear of Euphoria? It's also an HBO show.
A thing or two.
Shut the fuck up. Joe's right. This is the Zendaya does drugs show. It is the hottest. I mean, it came out. I only watched the first season because it's the only one that's out. But season 2 is on the way. It is one of those high school shows where shit's kind of shitty for all the kids, and they're going through it. And I feel like it does really good with cliches, as in it avoids them or does them super well.
Isn't Zendaya in her mid-20s now?
Yeah, she's our age.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
She's Peter Parker's girlfriend in high school.
She's also Peter Parker's girlfriend in high school. Yeah, you know how this works.
Yeah, but when they started that, she was like maybe a freshman in college.
No, she was like 22 when she was in Spider-Man.
She had songs.
Okay. I'm completely wrong.
You're not super wrong, though.
You don't know nothing.
You're a little wrong, but not too much.
That's right. I'm a little wrong.
This show is super good. It is... Yeah, like I said, it's a high school show. There's a lot of main characters. They all have their own vices and problems. With the main character, Zendaya, she's about to start her junior year, and through a very well set up backstory, you see how she got into doing drugs and how she overdoses one night and is brought to rehab. And then, so the summer before school, she's the girl who went to rehab last summer, right? And then she's showing up, so it's got that drama, right? You got other characters like all-star quarterback Nate, a.k.a., and a comment said this best, a villain more powerful than Thanos. Nate is such a powerful villain and antagonist to this show. You are slack-jawed in disgust in every scene, and that kid's a fucking sociopath, but his backstory is so good and so well presented.
He's the most powerful primate high schooler.
He's the most powerful primate high schooler. Speaking of Dr. Stone.
The show is... So the questions I have are, is the show still going? Yes. How many seasons was there or is there? Do you see Zendaya naked? Because it is an HBO show.
Yes. Yes.
Wait, yes.
Okay, yes. Season 2, and yes. So season 2 is about to come out, like I said in the beginning of this chat. Come on, Joe, keep up. And I believe you do see Zendaya naked. No, you don't see her naked. You see her nipping. So that's what you get, Joe. You see a lot of the other girls naked.
It's still ongoing.
Yes.
Okay.
And I loved this first season. Some of the other characters, you got... I talked about Nate. You got a drug dealer named Fez, who's kind of a slow kid who's out of school. Yo. And Fez is everyone's favorite character, because drug dealers are always the nicest people. This is just how it is. Unless they're the bad drug dealers, which we run into one of those in the show. You got Maddie, who's like the popular cheerleader girl, who's in an abusive relationship with Nate. Everything I'm saying is going to sound really cliche. Just trust me, it is like the best execution of everything I'm saying.
This is Glee.
It's Degrassi meets Breaking Bad, okay? And then you got Jules. Cool. It's fucking great. You got Jules, who's like, who is a transgender female, and you get to see like what it was like when she was a boy and her mom like threw her into like one of those like, hey, let's go check out a doctor, and then it's like, okay, see you in a couple months because you're locked here in this hospital, bye situations, which is just awful. And Jules is a character that I think everyone loves early on, but by the last season, everyone's like, fucking yikes. this person is a dumb teenager, I suppose. That's the point, right?
Yikes, as in like they took the character in a bad direction, or yikes, as in like you come to realize who this person is and they're actually a terrible person?
They took the character in a direction you don't want to see. I don't want to say if it's bad. Jewel's thing that's established in the first season is that as a high schooler, she will get older men to and hook up with them, and including dads. And she will like seek out men who are like kind of not sure, and they're like, "Oh, I'm not gay or anything, but yeah, let's fuck." And she's like, "Yeah, sure." And she eventually gets into a relationship with the main character, and that fucking goes places. My favorite character is a character called Lexi, who used to be Rue's the main character. She used to be Rue's best friend, but now that Rue is like a fucking addict. It's their relationship's a little strained, and then it kind of reforms throughout the season. But she's just the actual, like, the one character who's super nice and doesn't have anything fucked up going on. So season 2, you're gonna find out the most fucked up shit about her or something. I hope not. She's so sweet. She dressed up as Bob Ross for the Halloween episode, and everyone clowned her. And I was like, you're just in the wrong group. So the things I want to bring up about this show is, one, the high school experience in this show. And I don't know if it's realistic or not. I have a feeling that high school is very different outside the Bible Belt. Because these kids are going on big parties and all their parents know, and they're drinking a shit ton and doing a bunch of drugs. I was like, that was such a rare occurrence that those things happen in my high school. And I went to like a big suburban high school just like them. And I was like,
it was like a once or twice in high school, maybe like at graduation or something. But then, like, most of the time, it's like, yeah, people just hang out with, like, a small group of friends.
Yeah, like, people would go to the fucking Whataburger after football games as opposed to, like, throwing in the big Ranger. That was my experience, too. Tyler, did you have the big drug high school?
Tyler was having the orgies and...
Not that I'm aware of.
I'm sure you would have known, like... This isn't even a scenario of like we weren't invited to it. Like I knew what everyone was up to because I was hanging out with like everyone, or like I was friends with like all the popular kids that would be throwing the parties in these like. So I feel like this is like a East Coast West Coast thing. I don't know where the show takes place. Let's say it's West
basically
Coast.
The number one jock.
Of course, you're the Nate of your high school, which makes you a fucking monster. By the way,
let's go.
And the writing and the dialogue is so good. Like, let's take the main character Rue, right? She's an addict, and they don't, like, toe around it. Like, addicts are rough people to be around. They are not nice. They're not, like, friendly all the time. They will show their ugliest sides when they are at their lowest. And that's just kind of, like, ask someone who has a family member who's the person who, like, has people pee for their drug test or, like, fake that shit. Like, the person who keeps relapsing. And I actually, last podcast I talked about Beautiful Boy, which was the movie with the Charlemagne doing the drugs. So a lot of drugs recently, and like it's frustrating. Another show that shows this really good is The Haunting of Hill House, which Tyler has shown. Like the druggy brothers, like a good example.
Yeah.
And they don't tiptoe around it. Sometimes Rue is really rude and mean to people who are trying to help her the most, just because like she's on her down. And the show's kind of her arc of like recovering and kind of bouncing back from that addiction. And let's just say that it ends in a troubling place with a incredible musical sequence sang by Zendaya in an fucking insane fever dream scene that is fantastic. The editing in this show does such a good job at like reflecting the feeling of being on drugs, but also it like the editing and cinematography on this show might be the coolest of anything I've ever seen. Every episode will go out of the way to make every scene and every shot as cool as possible, be it with the lighting, be it with the framing, be it with the editing. This show is directed, edited, and cinematographized to the highest degree. I can't stress enough. I'll have to find... In the first episode, there's a scene where Rue takes probably oxytocin, because that's her go-to, and the room starts spinning, and she's like stumbling on the walls. Meanwhile, the people in the background are somehow like still grounded on the floor, so they're like going upside down and sideways while she's like kind of like struggling against the wall. It's really hard to explain, but it's super cool. I'll try to find some cool clips of like the editing in the show. But yeah,
there you go.
It's so good. I wouldn't recommend this to any of y'all because it is fucking difficult to sit through. They do not pull punches. Like, this shit is rough. Not just with Rue. Like, with the other characters, even the most simple characters are going through stuff, like, scenes that are, like, really hard to watch, and they're making decisions that are really hard to watch. One thing I like about the high school is, like, it's not very cliquey, which is similar to my experience, more or less, where, like, there are friend groups, but, like, yeah, you can sit with us. Like, we're not gonna bully you out of the seat. Like, you can hang out with us.
Yeah, no one acts like a fucking cartoon.
Yeah, no one's a cartoon.
Except the main bad guy.
The main bad guy, unfortunately, is not a cartoon, and I think that is what's so disturbing. He does some fucking insane, cartoony, villainous shit.
Like a cartoon.
But in general, his personality is not cartoon. He just, like, he ruins a kid's life in the most vile way I've ever seen, and he needs to... throughout the season, I was like, if Nate doesn't fucking get it by the end of the season, I'm going to be so mad, and we're just going to say that I'm a little mad. So I need season 2. I need season 2 to see this kid fucking obliterated from the planet. There's no redemption. I don't care that he's a teenager. Cartoon. Also, there's a lot in this show of, and this is like some cartoons you've watched maybe, where it has a lot of high schoolers having sex with 20-plus-year-olds. Like I said, the character of Jules will go catfish older men and then fuck them, and it's like she's 16 and is fucking 40-plus-year-olds, and it's like, this is a big yikes, and I guess this is just the ugly truth. Like, this show is a lot of the ugly truth that you kind of try not to think about or look away.
Zendaya is Jules, right?
No, Zendaya is Rue. Jules is her love interest / best friend character.
I'll say, there was a girl in my high school. She was 16, dating like a 25-year-old man, and I'm like, come on, girl.
Dude, so many girls in this show have sex with like 20-year-olds. It's like, I could see it it happens. It totally happens, but like, they're not even seniors. They're fucking juniors, which is where it's like extra creepy to me. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's uncomfortable. Another plot line is, so like, the popular girls have a fat friend named Kat. And Kat's like their funny friend, but like, she still hangs out with them because they were childhood friends, and like, they're not gonna let that go, even though she's not really like the really popular girls.
Damn, this is getting too real.
She's been trying to lose her virginity because like, it's hanging over her, and she does it in a party, but the motherfucker films her from behind and uploads it, and she goes on like a campaign to erase it. But when she does, she starts realizing like, shit, weirdos online kind of really like me. So she starts a porn channel where she wears a mask and like does weird shit and dances, and starts having like one-on-one talks with sugar daddies, including a very uncomfortable scene where it's like a dude with a micro penis, and he's like, tell me my penis is small, kitty queen, and she's like laughing, trying to get it out, but she's making that bag. So her storyline is like, she kind of like lets it go to her head as she's like, oh, I can realize I could just not give a fuck and fuck a bunch of dudes. And she does, and it's like, well, this is good for your, like, self-image, but also it's coming out of, like, a place that's really toxic and negative, and she takes it out on people who don't deserve it, and it's, like, really uncomfortable as well. So, like, just all these sorts of plot lines, and I can't stress enough how well directed and put together it is. But that's Euphoria. I think you would all have a very uncomfortable time watching it, so I'll sit on this one alone. You should watch The Leftovers, though. I think you guys will like that. Oh, all right. That's enough Willer talking. Tell me about No Time to Die, Joe.
Yeah, I saw No Time to Die last weekend. Last year, I think it was last year, either late last year or whatever, I rewatched all the Daniel Craig movies. James Bond, Daniel Craig movies, to prepare to go watch No Time to Die, especially because I hadn't seen Spectre yet. So this is an interesting like series of films. It's the series of like James Bond films that really tries to give James Bond a character. His whole character arc is about like getting over Vesper Lynn and being in love with her and being betrayed by her and all that kind of. All of that, and never feeling like he can trust anybody again after that experience, which is really distracting in a James Bond film because I just want to see a goddamn spy with fucking spy car and spy gadgets.
So you don't like the overarching plot of the Daniel Craig movies?
I think I like the idea of it. When I was rewatching it, I really liked the idea of it. I just think by the time they got the Spectre, I think they just really did a big misstep at Spectre. I think Spectre is like the Phantom Menace, where like it kind of like throws this movie a little bit out of whack with its plot. Because if you don't know, I don't really like Spectre. I fall asleep through that movie like 3 times trying to watch it.
From what I understand of people who like these movies, Spectre is the least favorite.
Yeah.
Or Quantum of Solace. That one sucks too, apparently.
Quantum of Solace, at least, is an hour and a half long. It doesn't have that deep of a plot, and you can get through it very quickly, and you're like, cool, we're done. Actually, I think Quantum of Solace was better after directly watching it after Casino Royale, because Casino Royale, I think Quantum of Solace literally happens 5 minutes after it chronologically. But that's just me. So this movie, James Bond, there's the British intelligence has a weapon stolen from them that allows anybody to like specifically target somebody with their DNA and kill them. James Bond has to go find the person that stole it, kill them, yada yada yada. Mm-hmm. When the movie wasn't trying to tie itself back to Spectre or any of the previous movies, it's a great Bond film. Like, it opens up with a great car chase sequence. He does all he puts caltrops on the ground. He does like the fucking machine gun gadget. It's great. Daniel Craig, whenever he does the James Bond one-liners, they sound cool, badass, and funny. There's a moment where I literally almost spit up my drink in the theater because one of the Bond girls turns around in this dress, and I was just taken aback. She was gorgeous, and she was super charismatic.
Joe and Awooga.
Yeah, it was.
His eyes popped out.
Arma de Ames
or
Ames de Arma.
God, she is okay.
Yeah, hold on. I need to peep this.
Oh, Ana de Armas is one of the most beautiful women on this planet.
Yeah,
I'm gonna throw it in the Midcast chat.
And her character, like, it was like perfect, and I was just like, she left the movie. And I was like, no. This is the person I want to see.
That's what I heard. That's what I heard in a review. I was like, oh, someone said her role was really good. And I forgot she was in it. If
they were like, we're going to make a spin off of her character, I'd be like, perfect.
She's, if anyone's seen Knives Out or Blade Runner, the second one, she's in both of those movies, and she's great. But no, like, I think Daniel Craig did a great job. The second Bond girl, the secondary protagonist in the role, I forget what her name is. She's the blonde. I think she did pretty well too. Rami Malek is not really in the movie, which is a little bit disappointing because I really like it when my James Bond villains are bombastic and flamboyant. Was Christoph Waltz good in Spectre, or was he lame?
He was okay. I think he worked with what he had, but I feel like... So, like, I think there's what's interesting about this series is that it starts off pretty real, and then as the series goes on, it gets more and more back to that classic James Bond feeling. So I think by the end of the series, Daniel Craig really felt like classic Bond. And I think that he really killed it, and he felt really good in that position. When he wasn't doing Spectre stupid shit.
Is it ironic that he's only a good Bond after he's no longer Bond?
No, I thought he was a good Bond throughout all of it. It's just like, when you get to the end of this movie, you're like watching like Casino Royale is like Bond at level 1. Then No Time to Die is like max level Bond. Like, he walks into a room and people just fucking die.
Level 1 Mafia. Okay, does he he's not quite John Wick level, but he's approaching. Yeah,
like he's like, he makes there's a fight in a forest that I was watching this, and it's like, this is the coolest shit ever, and all that Bond is doing is literally walking to the left at the appropriate time, and he's killing dudes. It's like really cool. I really liked the movie when it was doing James Bond stuff. Whenever it wasn't, I was really kind of out of it. So I think in the final tier of the Daniel Craig movies, it goes Skyfall, Casino Royale, No Time to Die, Quantum of Solace, Spectre. That's my personal opinion.
I really hope in the next James Bond films you keep your Moneypenny, your M, and your Q, because I really like those character castings. Moneypenny especially, I think the lady that plays her is great. I think she's really funny. But yeah, I think the movie...
That's quite the name.
What?
Just Moneypenny is a funny name. I don't think James Bond's for me because I watched Skyfall and I fucking did not like that movie. That movie is so long and dare I say boring. So I just don't think it's for me.
Oh, I think that one's great. I think it hits a lot of the great Bond points and still merges well with like what they were doing then. Last Judi Dench movie with her in the James Bond films.
She's the old lady at the end.
Mm-hmm. She's in.
Yeah.
James Bond has a weird continuity where like the side characters carry on to the next set of films, but don't. It's really weird.
Do you think they'll make films with the new like 007 girl?
That's a good question. I don't know. I wouldn't be opposed to it, but like that's not James Bond. That's 007. But like once again, not something I'm not opposed to anything. I like seeing the spy.
The boomers wouldn't like that one too much.
The boomers would not like that. The boomers didn't like that Daniel Craig was blonde. He was James Bond.
That's true. I heard his blue eyes were very frowned upon.
Yeah.
It's kind of fucked up.
Tyler cannot be Bond, by the way. Joe could, maybe. But not... Well, no, not even.
I'm not British.
Nothing can keep my superior genes from being James Bond.
Joe, who's your favorite Bond?
I'm a big fan of Roger Moore's James Bond films, but he has like the most, but those were the ones that I really watched all the time. I like Chris Bronson in GoldenEye, and I don't like the rest of his movies. But I also think Daniel Craig is really good too.
Cool. I feel like I've done Casino Royale. I feel like I need to give Casino Royale a chance.
Yeah, Casino Royale I think is actual like really good actual film.
Got Mads Mikkelsen, right? As the antagonist.
Yeah, Mads Mikkelsen's the villain in that film. The first time I watched that, I was about 13 years old. I was like, oh, this was kind of lame for a Bond film. Watching it again as like a 26-year-old, I'm like, this movie's kind of fucking rad as a Bond film.
Dope.
Yeah.
Well, gentlemen, I believe that brings us to our final topic of the night. One that I've been very excited to talk about.
Love it.
A little game called Metroid Dread came
out. It's
out.
off the fucking chain.
And I think Bradley said it best. Roll credits. This game is so good. Yeah. This is what I needed to become a Metroid fan. Like, this game has made me interested in the franchise. It is that good.
Gets my balls hot.
It's a game.
Oh, what do you mean it's a game? Oh, come on. Boo!
The game is really good. The game is good. But this game is not worth $60.
Oh, okay. Let's fucking go there. Mister, I'll spend whatever money to get a fucking waifu in Genshin, but I won't spend the money for, like, quality, well-ass design. You're a game designer. You should be, like, frothing at the mouth of some of the great stuff they did.
The game has a range of 7 to 10 hours.
No, it does not. The in-game timer. The in-game timer lies to you. If you timed yourself, it took you more than that. Now, granted, I
feel like people are tripping with game prices. I think people need. Man, I'm gonna make some enemies. I think people need to get used to paying more for video games.
Video games are too cheap for what they cost.
This is not me speaking like across the board. This is my own opinion. I think it's not worth $60 for me. And Nintendo never decreases their prices for their games.
Oh, never.
And I'm just not happy that I paid $60 for a 7-hour long experience.
It took you longer than that, okay? So you can't say it's a 7-hour long experience. It's short, for sure. But, like, would you not say that it was all quality? That game is so good.
It is all quality except for my other big complaint. This game is easy.
No, it is not.
This game is pretty easy for a Metroid game.
Okay, maybe for a Metroid game.
You know what? That's the qualifier there. For a Metroid game, it is easy, but I wouldn't call it like a super easy game in general.
No. You have to be able to play video games to play this game.
This game's difficulty is perfect. It challenges you just the right amount.
I agree.
Like a boomer's never going to beat Kraid.
Well,
no. But this, for example, I think in terms of a Metroidvania game, that genre, this is the easiest Metroid game ever.
Okay, wait, Metroid or Metroidvania?
Okay, if we're talking about the genre Metroidvania and what that genre entails is terms of game mechanics and what classifies like that, which is a lot of being blocked by something, having discovery, and then using your memory as a player to go back and like break that barrier. This is the easiest Metroid game in existence.
You wanted to get lost. You wanted there to be bad map design. Got it.
No. There is there's one map design. It is a single tunnel, and I follow this the entire time. Like,
it's not.
I never got lost.
I got lost several times because when you get certain power-ups... To be fair, I didn't know about the highlighting a icon feature where you can go to an icon and find every other icon in the map that's like it. That would have helped.
I got lost one time in this game, and it was because I put the game down. Like, I just didn't remember what I was doing when I came back.
Man... I've gone on record saying the map design in this game makes me want to jack off. I think it's good, and here's the thing. As much as I love the older Metroid games, the one thing I could never defend about them, and one of the games most guilty of this is Super Metroid, maybe even more so than the NES Metroid, is having to go back to some area you were in like 5 hours ago and shoot like a single unmarked block to progress the story. Jeez. I am glad they got rid of that. I don't want to do that.
I just don't have to do... I never had to do like any backtracking or getting lost. It felt like I was on a singular path the entire time in the entire game.
You have to revisit the zones in the critical path multiple times. You circle back to every zone in the critical path.
But I didn't understand what I was saying is there's no physical turning around going backwards. Generally speaking, you can keep moving not necessarily the same direction, but the game orientates you.
I'm going to say this. The level design is too clean. It heavily caters on, hey, this is where you should go. This is where you should go. It just felt like the entire path was laid out before me. I did not have to think at all about what my next step was. As long as I keep moving forward, I would make it to my next destination.
It is the greatest type of game, wide linear. You're going down the linear path, but there's so many... You could choose to go make deviations. Do you know how much time I spent doing Shine Spark puzzles? I have the slowest time of anyone I've seen, because I was stuck on Shine Spark puzzles for so long, because I went out of my way to go do shit sometimes.
I give you that, and I only found, I think, 60% of items is like what it said right there at the end.
So I found nothing.
I found I found low, like high 50, low 60. So I spent some time, but I try to there's some puzzles where I beat my head against it, and it may be because I'm not a Metroid player. So you look at the puzzle and you're like, oh, I've done something similar in the past. I have to learn this all for the first time. So maybe that's why I was slower on that front.
No.
There's specifically a Shine Spark puzzle where you start in another room, run down a long hallway. You have to do a bomb, get out of there, and then you have to do this really weird jump off the wall and time it specifically in order.
There's dozens. There's at least 10 plus that are that complex. It gets pretty nutty.
I've always hated Shine Spark puzzles. They're just not for me.
Shine Sparks. I do agree that this is probably the most linear Metroidvania I've played. However, I think that is a good thing.
Yeah. Getting lost is something I got frustrated getting lost in this game.
Frustratingly lost is a bad thing.
What my point is there's a specific point in the game, and Bradley, this isn't spoiler because all Metroidvanias have the same exact weapons and upgrades in them.
Yeah, honestly.
This has a bunch of new stuff that we're not going to talk about.
There is I didn't feel like I needed to explore or had any openness until I got the grapple beam.
Yo.
That's when I felt now I can explore. Now I'm not going down this linear path. I can so disagree. When you get the morph ball, the game opens up so much. When you get the screw attack, there are so many fucking blocks with the screw attack that you can unlock. There's so much. I feel like you just didn't do the due diligence to consider the corner. Now, you may not need it. you do not need all the missile upgrades you get in this game. You are drowning in. They're more for hard mode, because in hard mode you get less missiles. But in the core gameplay, I think everyone's gonna finish the game with a shit ton of missiles.
Yeah. So
now, health, on the other hand, I didn't find a lot of the health. Joe had the lowest health of anyone I've seen. So congrats to you.
It's weird. It's like this is one of the easiest Metroid games.
When you say that,
but it's also one of the best. And it's like I think in terms of action, this is the best Metroid game, except for the robots that like stalk you around. I think I think they absolutely missed the mark with that.
I wanted to get to this point. This game, the difference between a 10 out of 10 to an 8 or 9 is the Emmys. And it's a 10 out of 10 for me because I love the Emmys. Okay. No, I'm saying your opinion of the Emmy, and I've seen this, I've done so much research, is 100% if you vibe with the Emmys. The Emmys complete the package for the game for me.
I really like the Emmys.
The reason why they don't for me is because this game is called Metroid Dread. Dread is an emotion that like a player experiences. Meanwhile, Metroid Fusion creates this emotion efficiently throughout the entire game. Like without being like, oh, you need to experience dread, experience the trauma and the suspense. No, it's like it and like you're supposed to be experiencing dread through the Emmys, and your interactions with the Emmys are measured in seconds. It's like beat it to the next door, and that's kind of it. I hid maybe 10 times from the Emmys the entire game. Never had any issue.
I was a hidey little fucker. Bradley, what do you think?
Here's what Uncle Bradley thinks about the Emmys, all right? Sit your asses down. I went into this game thinking I was going to hate them because I was like, number one, we already did this angle in Metroid Fusion. Oh my god, you're hiding from this powerful robot you can't defeat. And then also I was like, man, sometimes I just really fucking hate stealth in video games. I ended up fucking loving these things.
Now, it's worth noting, I don't think we said it, Bradley is the only one who hasn't finished. He's, what we want to say, like...
We're trying to do spoiler-free.
1/3 of the way through, I feel like he's at.
Yeah, some shit like that. But man, I fucking love these robots because I don't really stealth around them. I like to dodge and maneuver around them, and when I do that, I feel like when I narrowly escape by sliding through some fucking tunnel... I don't know. I feel like a badass.
I feel like
it's fun. Yes, like it is all fun. I just don't like it because the main way you defeat the Emmys is it's redundant a little bit. So like I tested something. So when you get like the Omega weapon cannon upgrade, the Omega cannon, like. I tested all the way through that. You literally just have to walk in that room and stand still and shoot the thing.
Nope.
You will never die.
Nope. That is a fucking lie. There's so many Emmys where if you walk straight of the room, there's so many Emmys that will just catch you because there's not enough space. Here's what's brilliant about the Emmys.
I mean the Omega cannon part. Getting the Omega cannon, like you should just walk in that room and give it to you. Like the encounter with the brain controller thing is irrelevant.
Oh, that's just there for like the spice of like it's a weird mother brain experiment thing.
Yeah, mother brain.
Yeah. I'm just like, if I didn't like, here's the thing. It's a cat. It's a box. It's a Schrodinger's cat thing. Because if it didn't exist, I would be like, oh, I wish there was more out of this. But it does exist, and I'm like, this is irrelevant.
Well, here's the thing. You can't have each of these encounters be like super hard because then you just throw off your pacing. Because imagine not getting stuck on trying to kill the Emmy. You're getting stuck on getting the thing to kill the Emmy. And that's just frustrating as fuck.
Yeah, like, that's fine. It just feels irrelevant. Like that's it. Like
it doesn't feel irrelevant.
They put threats in there to like harm the player and interrupt your flow a little bit, but it doesn't do anything.
I don't know.
The projectiles won't show you.
Thing. It can just be another enemy you have to fight to get this thing. It's the same thing with another set of creatures that come along later.
I think it ties into the plot a little bit, but it just was a miss for me gameplay wise.
I think gameplay-wise, they're so brilliant, and here's why. Emmy zones serve 3 functions, and I love the way it works. The first time you go around them, they're platforming stealth, which is such a weird genre, but they fucking did it. I do hide from the Emmys from time to time, but like Bradley says, I also, like, step around them like I'm getting chased by fire. It's like, ooh, God, don't touch me.
The last one you fight is such a tough bitch.
Dude, the last 2 Emmys are so fucked up. The blue Emmy, I think the last one you fight is purple, if I'm not mistaken. That one's also fucked up. The I think it's yellow, who is like extremely fast. That one's horrifying. And also like how they like. So the first Emmy you run into is broken. The second one can crawl. The next one can go through chutes, which opens up into morph ball. So, anyways, let's go.
You're spoiling, man.
No, Bradley just got the morph ball. He was already beat.
Okay, my bad. I didn't know what Bradley was.
We'll stop there. But the point about the Emmys is the first time you're going through their platform stealth. The second time, once you get the Omega Cannon, you turn the same environment that you use for platform stealth into a puzzle environment. And there's a mid-game Emmy that uses that so well. You guys might know it's one of the middle ones where you there's like only one place in the room where you can do it, and you have to kind of think outside the box to find it. And the last one's very different in that sense. So you turn the same environment and you used it twice, and once you defeat the Emmy, that environment now populates with enemies and you can explore it. So it's like such a good use of the same environment. And
the chutes open up too.
Yeah, and every time you go into an Emmy room, they're the perfect length where it's like you're only in there for a couple of rooms, but you need to fucking move your ass or they will kill you. Like, I think everyone who plays this game will die to the Emmys 20 times. Like, it's just... And the checkpoint's right outside the room. It's perfect.
The Emmy death is a quick animation, but that's when I was bitching about it first. I was like, what the hell? Metroid's known for having cool death animations. Why is this death animation so fucking weak?
Did you end up liking the real one? Because I think...
Yeah, I do. But, like, the Emmy death animation's quick for you at, like, the UX quick experience, but it's like I just like wish that
it's quick
it was
because
cool.
That's the thing you die the most on.
It is.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I just wish it was cooler.
It is the first death every player will see. It's probably an Emmy death, so I can see where that's coming from.
So I mean, it's not bad. I think the game's really good. It's just the least Metroidvania game that's been in existence, and it's not
in
bad.
Existence. No, okay, that is the weirdest claim. Maybe out of the
I'm talking like true Metroidvania games, like out of the Metroid series, out of the core Metroid series, out of the core Metroid series, it is the least Metroidvania.
Okay, that's a different. You also say this is the easiest, but then you went on to talk about the fucking map design. You can't tell me that this is the easiest combat in the series. I watched a dude play Super.
Oh, no.
I watched a dude play Super for the first time, and he just beat Mother Brain by unloading missiles on her and damage boosting. Like,
yeah, pretty much.
This can't be the hardest combat-wise. Sure, Bradley, back me up here because you know best. You and Tyler.
There's definitely easier. Well. I think Super is easier. I think most Metroid games are much harder than this. Okay. Like Fusion, I was fucking cussing out my TV the last time I played it in
college. It's on the easier spectrum.
Fair. But to say that, I just couldn't believe this was the easiest just based on stuff I've seen.
But Super Metroid does have a lot of bosses where you can just crouch right in front of them and shoot 45 missiles into their crotch and they die.
Riveting.
And that's what makes this game great is they designed bosses. Like that's the line right there is they actually put effort into bosses.
That final boss was stellar in my opinion.
Also, it pisses me off that this is y'all's first Metroid game because there's an actual story and it all ties together.
Look, it didn't stop me from loving the story at the end of this game. That was the hype.
That's fine. But at another, Bradley, cover your ears for a second. If you knew the lore of the other games, the main
antagonist
plot is revealed in the first 10 minutes of this game. Like, the entire story is revealed in the first 10 minutes.
Cool.
That's it.
I mean, okay, Bradley, come back.
You gotta tell him to come back. He's double muted.
He's muted.
Well, he could see me.
You can't guarantee that.
I was hoping.
You might be looking at Genshin.
All right, Joe, you're on it. So we said they design bosses. I would go one step further. I would say they massacre these bosses. Just name a platformer that has better bosses, and I don't think you can. Or even combat. Maybe like I pitched the Mega Man games might have slightly better combat because you have like cooler tools, but like the thing that's so amazing about the combat in this game is aside from the invisibility cloak, you use every ability in a boss. And,
yeah, really good.
And those bosses are... I can't think of a platformer that has better bosses. You guys help me out.
Even the very first boss, I was sitting here like, oh, it's so cool. Under his fucking ribcage.
I think I haven't played Castlevania in a long time, but I've liked the Castlevania bosses that I have played.
I've played Castlevania bosses. They are not this cool.
I mean, I played... Did you play the DS Castlevanias?
No. But I know what a Castlevania boss is, even to like the Crown Jewel, which is Symphony of the Night. You have to learn how to dodge some patterns, but they're not like using your tool set. Just the aiming lets you do so much, first of all. That is such a good feature. But like, there's that boss. So the last boss is, of course, the greatest, like the best boss in the game. But I think the major boss when that Joe got to, how do I say this? When you have to do stuff with heat, there's a boss you have to go fight. That boss was so good to me. That's when I made that comment where it's like, this game might have the best bosses of any platform. And that was before I even got to the last one. Just the way that one move he does where you have to like play the game completely different is super cool. And all the parries are so badass.
I didn't get his parry. It makes me mad. I saw it come up and I just completely whiffed it.
Oh, you didn't get this? Oh, he does it so often. Come on, Joe.
No, I never. It came up once, but I didn't. I just fucking missiled him to death. But
damn, it's a really good one.
Here's what I like about the game. Number one, the shift control's so good. Oh. Samus always moves exactly how I saw her move in my mind when I pushed the button. Like, it's so responsive. It's so nice to control. And what this game really is doing it for me right now. And I feel this way in every single Metroid game, even though they all have like 95% the exact same items. Over the course of your game, you just feel Samus turn into this unstoppable badass juggernaut thing. And as you collect these power-ups, like every time I collect a power-up, no matter how many games I collect the tri-beam in, once I get it, I just want to flex my muscles and I'm just like, oh, look at my beam. Man, I just love
my beam.
Yeah. I have a lot of complaints about it, but at the end of the day, I will say this is a great game. It's probably one of the best Metroid games.
What's your rating, Tyler? What's your insane person rating?
I will say it's on par with the Metroid Prime trilogy on the Wii.
I want a number because I don't know what that means to me.
I don't know what that means.
It's a 10. Like, you should play it. It's a crime. Everybody does it.
What's happening? Anyway,
I'm trying to be reasonable.
What are you talking about? He spends 10 minutes loving anime. Trashed here.
I'm honest.
Yeah,
you are honest.
You're just, your mind is. This is why I love talking to you. It's so different. Something else.
I don't try to let my own biases sway on how good something is or how fair everybody should.
Zero biases, and I'm like, this is a game of the year contender.
I thought for me, like, Metroidvania is always a game because I tried playing. What's the one game that like is like the Castlevania like spiritual successor that people
Bloodstained, which is I love Bloodstained. Super fucking fun.
I keep trying to play Bloodstained, but something about it is just not doing it for
me. I've hated every Metroidvania game made by an indie developer.
You should try Bloodstained. You don't like Hollow Knight? Yeah, I think we've had this.
No, I don't like Hollow Knight. I don't like
Hollow Knight has that map that you love that I can't fucking stand. I hate every moment where I'm lost in Hollow Knight, which is every moment.
Hey, Momodora, it's a good.
Momodora's great.
Metroidvania made by
the problem with Hollow Knight is like. If you want to talk about like design practices of Metroidvanias, it's like a tree or a river, okay? So like whenever you have the branches come out, like at the very beginning, you should have one branch, and then you should get like an upgrade, and then maybe another branch, and then like another upgrade and 2 branches. So it goes on for a while. It's a slow stream of branches, and then like once I got the grapple beam, it's like 5 branches came out, and like that's kind of the max you should get at. Whenever I play Hollow Knight, it's like 10 branches at the start.
At least, at least you have a limit. I think I like this game so much because it only did a little bit of the bullshit I hate with Metroidvanias. Because like I like to get through my games because I like to play a lot of games every year, so I don't have time for like BS. So that's like where I'm coming from.
For me, so here's the thing. I tried playing Bloodstained, and I think the one thing about Bloodstained that wasn't clicking for me was the movement. I really don't like the motion and movement in that game.
Oh, your movement gets so fucking good in that game.
But like Metroid immediately, like moving across the screen, Samus cuts through the fucking screen like butter.
If you slightly tap, if you put any amount of velocity in a direction, she will start sprinting. Like, she will do, like, a couple frames of a lead-up jog and then just fucking book it. It's so responsive.
Bradley, how did you feel about Samus's starting suit?
Oh, yeah.
Now, right.
He's not referring to the normal suit in the game. Yeah, because I didn't even notice till I watched the cutscene the second time that she starts in a different suit.
Yeah, I was like, this suit's kind of weak.
He definitely has better suits.
Yeah.
I like the ending suit.
Yeah, I like the upgrade suits. The upgrade suits look nice. Oh, also another complaint. This game does not optimize for good performance on screens. Like off the handheld Switch, it does not run the best.
I played exclusively on TV.
Same.
Yeah. It had some moments where it didn't look too good.
On TV, it had a couple of zones that are a little frame pacey problematic.
Yeah.
This game is also gorgeous, by the way.
I think it's a looker. I think that I love the art style and the environments. Like, if you really stop and like admire the environments, I think they're doing so much in the background that I love. There's also little cutscenes that happen in the background that you can miss that I think are really cute.
Great foreshadowing in the thing too with those backgrounds.
Yeah,
I was gonna give this game a 9 out of 10. Pretty much everything's perfect, and the environments in this game aren't bad or indistinct by any way. But I feel like they at times are less visually distinct than the areas in some other Metroid games.
Yeah, I can see that.
Because in most other Metroid games, I can just glance at the background. And even just by the general color scheme, I'm like, oh, I'm in Brinstar. Oh, I'm in Torian. You know?
I think this game definitely
has... This is minus NES and SNES. Like, this is minus the first and second Metroid.
I'm sure Fusion I've seen, like, has very colorful backgrounds. I will say every background in this game is super distinctive, but you're right, the colors are more muted, so you wouldn't be able to, like, get that instant.
Yeah.
A couple of things I want to bring up. The animations are great. Give the animation team a raise. When Samus can't morph ball, but she walks into a hole, she puts up her hand and like leans on it for no reason. Why the fuck did they do that? Another thing, just whenever she's climbing, it just looks so smooth. I will say some of the cutscene animations are a little budget, but the like parry cutscene animations are fantastic.
Parry animation.
Also, they did a great use of like characterizing Samus.
That's the next. Samus is so well characterized in this game. There's little things.
There's a moment when she goes and fights Kraid, and you just see her staring, and she's just charging up the beam because she's like, I already fucking know.
When you kill the first boss, and she's doing the strut walk behind him in the.
Yeah, cool. I took so many screenshots in this game. I'm so excited to start posting them.
Yeah,
like they are beautiful.
I took a bunch of videos as I was playing.
I remember my biggest complaint with the game. I remember it is, and this brings it down to a 9 for me. It is a solid 9 because of a specific thing in the game I can't name. Well, I'll say it. It's Adam.
Yeah, no, the storytelling in this game is not
Adam is
good.
Thrown to the side in this game as a complete bitch of a character. Yes, because if you remember in Metroid Fusion...
It was such a big deal.
Yeah, Adam is such a big deal. So I'm not mad that Adam talks in this game. That's not the point. Which is a side note, because this kind of ties into Adam. This Metroid has really weak music. Like the sound design in this Metroid is kind of bad, really bad. Actually,
I actually really like the ambient music. It felt very Metal Gear for me. You don't really know Metal Gear music, but like there's some areas that are big Metal Gear.
On this one, I'm going to be on Team Tyler. I really like all the sound effects, like hitting and shooting, and especially the more ball clinking against metal. But the area, like soundtracks, probably on the weaker side for me.
Yeah, this is I think one of the first Metroid games I've ever played where I didn't like any of the music in it.
Usually, if I'm in Brinstar, I'm fucking jamming.
Yeah, like they've used that same remix of a song for the last 20 years, and then they didn't do it.
They went for a route that was ambient music, and I thought it worked well with the theme of Dread.
Also, whenever you pick up an energy tank, it does this weird Sonic the Hedgehog soundbite, and it's from like a really quirky game. It's really noticeable, and it's like, what the fuck was that noise? That did not belong in this game at all. Like, it sounds like something that just got left over, and they just were like, oops.
What's up with the statues?
It's like, whoop.
The Chozo statues, get with it. Even I know this.
Oh, the Chozo statues?
I always think it's funny. Like, there's just this gameplay element that's everywhere. But
back to characterizing Samus. There's a couple of other cool things they do.
I didn't get to finish about my Adam rant.
But I didn't get to finish my Samus rant. So hold on.
Okay,
we'll circle back to you. There's that. You know the big cutscene in the middle of the game, like the obvious one I'm talking about, like that's in the middle. Samus does something in that cutscene that is so cool.
That was lit as fuck.
That was and then also the climax of the game, Samus does the coolest thing I could imagine her doing. Wow, I'm a Samus fan now. But there's also
makes you want to play For Glory with Samus and Smash Bros.
It does make you I do like Samus is really fun to play with Smash Bros. Now I actually have a tie to her in a way. There's other things where like they also humanize her in interesting ways. Where like there's a couple of cutscenes where she's bothered and in fear. Like an example is the first cutscene when she's getting like grabbed by that antagonist, and one that's really easy to forget is whenever you're in the Emmy zones before you've cleared the Emmy, there's the film grain to show that even Samus is scared of being in an Emmy zone because she's like, I've seen a lot of shit, but I know I can't kill these robots yet, so I gotta book it out of here. I thought that was a really interesting decision, and in some of the later cutscenes, there's very subtle, like, breathing animations and movements to show that she's distressed and afraid. And I was like, cool, I don't want her to just be badass. I needed just this little hint that she's uncomfortable by the situation to kind of like finalize how I feel about like her character.
I also really like that other than you dying, you don't see her outside of her suit unless I'm forgetting like something at the beginning of the game.
I think
the only time you're out of the suit is in Metroid Zero Mission, and maybe Samus Returns.
It's just like it's an easy kind of cop out. You can like make your hot characters show up and whatever. And
I think you can take off. I think you can take off her helmet if you clear the game fast enough. So there's
that's always been a thing. No, you can get her like fully out of her suit.
I don't know if that's
like they can spin her ass cheeks on the camera.
Yeah, you can get her like in the Smash outfit where it's just got her in like the sports bra and the under Spanx or whatever. That's like been the highest tier clear outfit.
Yeah, and
like,
the staple always is her scissoring with like the advanced mother brain that actually has legs and arms.
Yeah. But Adam, so like we were talking about Adam and the music, okay? So like in Metroid Fusion, Adam is in the game, and this also kind of ties into the tunneling thing. So every time you go to a new area in Metroid Fusion, just like in this game, Adam talks to you and he gives you a debriefing.
Doesn't he literally tell you who you're gonna fight and what item you're gonna get in Fusion? I heard Fusion was like the most linear shit ever, and that was your favorite Metroid game.
No,
hold on.
So in Metroid Fusion, you talk to Adam.
Okay, explain.
And at the beginning of the game, he does kind of tell you like, hey, we're here looking for this. This is the upgrade we should find in this area. And he's like, here's the point on the no map that exists. And it's like, get to this area. So like in Metroidvania fashion, like you have all these winding areas, but it's like, you may be heading right, but that doesn't take you down right.
Bro, if he gives you a waypoint, that's big though, because you know it like
it's a waypoint on a blank map.
Still, I would have taken that in this game. Like that.
And you know what? I do love Fusion, and I'm not like knocking this as points against Fusion, but I might shift my label of Dread being the most linear Metroid over to Fusion.
Everything I've heard over the years was that Fusion was super, not super, it's like another wide linear like this game. But I'm like, that sounds great. Also, it made the top 5 in our Nintendo list, so you like a linear Metroid, fucker.
After the first 3 or 4 areas that you go through really quick, like, once you start to backtrack, Adam is no longer helpful. He's like, I don't know what the fuck's going on anymore. And you start, like, getting through these side areas that you're not supposed to go through. There's narrative context for all of them. Like, the event that happened with the heat thing towards the end, that happens, like, 5 other times in Metroid Fusion. And it adds a lot of contextual, like, narrative to the game.
It's like, that part's the most linear part of the game, actually, so...
Yeah.
Like, it's a very hard to get lost there unless you miss a block, which sometimes...
Yeah, it is easy at that point, but it's like, I don't know. Whenever Adam's talking to you in these moments also, and it like enhances the dread aspect, is the music that plays. Like, if you remember talking to Adam, it's just like Animal Cross. It's not even Animal Cross. It's just side-scrolling text from like a Game Boy game.
Yeah.
And there's intense music playing over it, or there's light music, or there's like dreadful music. Like, the theme that the story wants you to feel is heavily tied into the audio you're hearing at the time.
That's the thing. I don't really feel dread in Metroid Dread. Metroid Fusion set out to be like a Metroid horror game, and I think they did it excellently.
I felt pretty spooked. The Emmy zones are like, you're playing the game like this, and every time you're in an Emmy zone, you're like, okay, I gotta get the fuck out of here. At least that's how I played it.
It's been how many years since Metroid Fusion came out? 16?
Yeah.
No, it's been 19 years.
Maybe I don't want to be part of this fan base. That sucks.
So it's been 19 years, and the thing is if you've played Metroid Fusion, I don't think you're gonna like the Emmys too. I don't think you're gonna like them more than the thing in Metroid Fusion.
I saw a poll where it was pretty close to 50-50.
I think if you're new to Metroids, or you're on the younger side to not really understand, like, or you haven't done, like, you're not a big Metroid fan, like, these are literally hollow robots that have no emotion or any real, like, personality.
But you could slow them down with the ice equipment, right? In Fusion, and so I've heard.
Like, you get that, like, in the last 5 hours of the game.
So it's still late. All right.
Yeah.
Well, the 5 hours of a 12-hour game, but I digress.
Something like that. But I feel like Adam really provides a lot better story pacing in Fusion than opposed to this game.
But
Adam feels like a second tutorial explanation for the upgrades you get in this game.
I think he's really bad early on. He's more tutorial early on, but near the end of the game, he's more speculative and actually give you... But in the beginning, I thought Adam was like easily the worst part of the game. I will say it's weird for you to say that he's thrown away when he's the character with by far the most dialogue in the game.
Yeah, and I mean, it's like... okay, you're saying that in a Metroid game where nobody ever really talks except Adam. Adam is the only thing that talks in Metroid games.
Still hard to say the character that talks the most is the one who gets thrown aside. Like, I wouldn't say that.
I just think compared to Fusion, like, you're talking about, like, the end of this game that he gets, like, speculative and stuff. Mm-hmm. Yes, that is really good. That's why I like this game still. But in Metroid Fusion, he's kind of doing that the whole time. He still has some tutorial aspects to him. But still, like, he is speculative the entire game and providing good narrative context.
The worst is getting the Phantom Cloak, and you have like 3 to 4 tutorials or the Phantom Cloaks. Like, I get it. I could use it to escape the Emmy. Thank you.
Yeah, it's also weird. I don't know why every Metroid game doesn't explain Shine Spark. Like, I think that's the running joke, is it's like, you're not allowed to explain Shine Spark.
They do.
They do not explain all the mechanics of Shine Spark.
Right. They did not explain all of them.
No Metroid game has ever explained all the mechanics of Shine Spark.
I don't think I got a single one.
Yes, you have to.
Joe, did you know you can Shine Spark and Morph Ball?
Yeah.
I don't know what that is.
Exactly. It's... I don't know why. Like, they had really clear UX.
They really could have like
and then just
anything to explain it.
Yeah.
They explained it in this one, but not that morph ball thing, which is mandatory for some puzzles. But I digress.
I don't know what it is.
Joe, it's literally called it in the game. I don't know. You just didn't read it.
But what do you do? Like, what does it actually do?
It's the speed boost thing.
Huh?
It's the speed boost thing.
No, it's specifically when you're doing the speed boost and then squat down.
That.
And then but you have to do that, so you did it. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
That's Metroid Dread. Bradley will finish it. We will quick talk it next week, but this game will come back at the end of the year.
Yeah, it will.
Strong contender.
You better be fucking ready.
Shockingly for me, but yeah.
I did not expect this outcome.
Fantastic game. I have a lot of complaints, but it's fantastic.
Game of the year.
I begrudgingly enjoyed it as an old person now.
Fuck.
This game of the year is going to be super weird because there is no standout for me like 13 Sentinels.
You mean a little bit of a thing called Returnal?
It's funny because we got 2 Metroid games this year and they're both contenders for Game of the Year.
Returnal's roguelite.
Yeah, but it is like everyone says it's very Metroid aesthetically inspired.
Very H.I. Geiger inspired.
I think Returnal has much better environments than Metroid Dread. That's all I'm gonna say.
I mean, of course, it's fucking Returnal. Come on, man, that's unfair.
Oh, that reaction right there just kind of,
Returnal has like some of the best environments this year. That is very unfair.
Man, all I know is it's really cool because Metroid, kind of like Star Wars, even though they're both sci-fi, they just feel like they have a different, more identifiable sci-fi world to them. I don't know. They don't feel as generic to me.
Yeah, like in this one, Samus has to solve literally all the galaxy's problems, which is different from Star Wars.
So I'm very excited to see what happens at a Metroid Prime 4 because 2 very successful Metroid games done by the same director have come out in that time. And Metroid Prime 4 is under a different director. Now, we haven't heard anything about Metroid Prime 4 in forever, so I'm wondering if at some point they might cancel the project, give it over to the other guy.
I heard that they weren't happy at the state that the game was in a little while ago, so that's why they haven't shown anything, which is a little alarming.
It's probably.
I just I'm ready for another Metroid Dread.
I don't really have interest in Prime. I need Metroid 6.
I've tried playing Prime 3 and I was just like,
that's the one Metroid I tried playing.
Joke's on y'all. This is the last Metroid side scroller.
This is first of all
the best-selling Metroid game they've ever done.
This is definitely gonna be the best-selling Metroid, right? It's gotta be.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
They're gonna make it
like this was literally supposed to be the end of Samus's storyline in like the official Metroid plot.
Then they're either
I never thought there would be a game after Fusion.
Yeah.
See, and you don't think I think the plot is set to where we can definitely take this story places.
Yeah, but okay, here's the thing. They never said anything after Metroid Fusion. Nintendo just dropped the IP and just didn't give a shit about Metroid. Hey, they literally said this is the end of Samus's journey.
When we're 50, we're going to be talking about Metroid Spread together, okay?
Metroid Spread?
I talk about Metroid Spread with you. That's a different topic, though.
That's a VR title.
No, this is bad. Okay, I have a question of the day, and no one has something better.
Oh, shit.
You don't know what I'm gonna say.
Yeah, we do.
Know.
Say it, Tyler. What's the question of the day?
You're gonna. I'm not gonna pretend. I'll just let you take it away.
Who's your favorite video game boss or bosses?
Oh God!
Speaking of great bosses, Sans. Oh, good, strong starting pick.
Come on, let's go.
Very strong starting pick. Final boss in this game is really good. I'll throw that in.
I really like the Persona 5 Royale ending boss.
Yeah.
I thought he was really good. That's an RPG boss that made me really think how I'm going to approach that scenario, and I really, really liked it.
But also the narrative beats makes that really good.
That too.
Some other highlights, Kingdom Hearts 3 limit cut all 14 of those bosses, but specifically the secret boss of the game is probably just the best boss I've ever fought.
I really like the Roxas boss fight in Kingdom Hearts 2. Yeah, that's a really, really good one.
Throw Xemnas cool. And Lingering Will and Sephiroth as well. Kingdom Hearts.
I'm gonna say Hyperion Returnal.
Oh shit, Hyperion.
That's the piano boss.
Yeah, I know.
Is that the third boss or is that the?
That's the fourth boss.
Okay.
I don't think Joe made it there.
Joe needs to beat Returnal, or his opinion is going to be invalidated in the game.
I don't think Joe's good enough to beat Returnal. That's all I'm going to say.
I don't have the patience for roguelites. I just don't.
That is like...
That's what somebody who didn't beat it in 3 or less deaths would say.
This game is Returnal's a really simple roguelite because you literally get to just skip to the
Here's
zone
the thing. I can't platform.
Yeah, okay. Joe can't.
If your badge is open with that, buddy.
Like, I did Destiny raids with Joe. Like, he died during every single platforming section. I was like, I'm not even mad. I was impressed with how bad Joe is at platforming.
That third area where it's the robots and you're jumping across things, I die more often jumping off a building than someone shooting.
To be fair, those robots pressure you into suicide.
Oh, yeah, that place sucks.
The bombers, Jesus Christ.
That's the hardest area in the entire game.
Here's another good one. Red and Pokemon Silver. Fantastic secret boss.
Good boss. I know this is a stretch and this is pure personal bias. I'm gonna say the final boss in Bravely Default. For a turn-based RPG, the true final boss has a little bit of hero main character armor, which is nice to like experience it as a whole.
Also, you know what? That game, probably the best soundtrack to a final boss. And mind you, like I chose Sans for my final boss, who has a great fucking song during his fight. But the Bravely Default soundtrack during that fight is fucking, it goes ham.
You know who else is a good boss fight, despite I hate looking at it, but Flowey. That's also kind of a final boss.
Yeah, you know what? Come on.
Depending where you stop playing the game, Flowey is a final boss as well. Anyone got anything else? There's so many good bosses out there. Bradley, what's a non-Undertale?
This might get really weird into the definition of what's a boss, but the final day of Pathologic 2.
Ooh. Stretch.
No, it's not the day that's the boss. It's a thing in the day that I would consider a boss.
Damn.
Willer, the Baldur fight, the first one in God of War.
I would say the last one in God of War.
I think both, but the first one really impacted me.
But the last one has Atreus doing the downwards arrow shots, which is the sickest shit.
Yeah. Baldur in general, shockingly, that guy is
Baldur's really cool. I like the final boss of Neo a lot. I brought that up when we were talking about Neo. I think that's a really fun, flashy fight.
Yo, Smaw and Ornstein. Fuck those guys.
No, that's a pass.
That game's for baby.
You know I love hard shit. That boss is a little too hard because also the boss run's annoying. I hate the boss run in that fight. I had to do it so many times, and then I lost my save. It was all for nothing.
I like the novelty in that fight because the entire game has been hard up to that point, and you start to gain momentum. You're like, oh, I'm getting better at the game, and it's like, you've been fighting one boss at a time the whole time. What if you fought two?
What are you talking about? You fought the gargoyles earlier. Those are two bosses.
Oh,
the same.
Fucking Lady Maria and the Nightmare of Margot's Wet Nurse in Bloodborne. Both of those are so cool. Bradley, you might not remember them, but you've seen them, right? Margot's Wet Nurse is that weird shadowy thing that it I don't know, it disappears throughout the fight. It's like a weird cloak without anything inside. It's such a fun fight. And Lady Maria is just badass as fuck, and the Orphan of Kos is CBT.
Oh my god.
Christ.
Mm-hmm. What was I going to say? Oh, Jesus.
The final boss in Metroid Dread is the first time I've slack-jawed at a boss since Bravely Default.
Yeah, it's really up there, man.
I looked like a special kid person, again in my heart, just slack-jaw. I don't know if we'll have camera for this podcast open, but I was like,
it was fantastic.
If you saw me in public, you'd be like, that guy's on bath salts.
Oh man, there was one from one of my favorite games. I can't even remember it now because my train stopped. One of my favorite games, but I can't remember what fucking game it was. My train of thought broke.
But it's a game I think you and I have played, Wheeler, but I just can't remember it.
You know what? I'll throw in the final boss of Dual Destinies.
That's a great
And
guy.
the final boss of Trials and Tribulations for the Ace Attorney games.
Mm-hmm.
Is Dual Destinies a Yu-Gi-Oh game?
No, it sure sounds like it.
It does.
The last boss from Judgment, the spin-off Yakuza, I'm so excited to play Judgment 2. Like, the combat is not particularly good in Judgment, but those bosses will get your fucking testosterone pumping.
Man, I'm going to Google right now because I'm loving this talk. I don't even care if it gets cut. I'm going to just look up notable bosses in video games.
Bowser.
We're going to just,
I really like
Ganondorf from Wind Waker. Anybody play Wind Waker?
Yeah, that's a great boss fight.
Hey, didn't Odyssey have a really good final boss? I'm trying to remember. It had
the run sequence. Yeah, it had the run sequence.
I'm thinking of the Escape Metroid sequence where you play as Bowser, which is so cool.
Yeah, IGN's list is like the best final bosses in video games, and then it says like Mother Brain and Supernatural.
Oh my god! Get that shit out
you sit there and it's a cool moment.
Don't get me wrong, the narrative in the Mother Brain fight, even I appreciate. But that's not
hear me out.
Dark Souls, that's not a cool boss.
Soul of Cinder from 3. Lavos.
Because Lavos, Phase 1, literally a boss rush of the entire game. Phase 2, Powerhouse. Phase 3, you don't realize that his real body isn't the thing that looks like his real body.
Yes, very good. Bradley, Porky, and the Masked Man from Mother 3. Come on.
Here's the thing, right? Turn-based RPGs are not always my favorite games, but those are two, Undertale and Mother 3 are two turn-based RPGs I really like.
And Chrono Trigger.
It's really weird because when I'm thinking of all my favorite bosses, even though turn-based RPGs don't have my favorite gameplay, pretty much all my favorite bosses are from turn-based RPGs. Because there's usually I think it's usually the narrative.
Yo, I don't think any of the bosses stand out except maybe Viper. But Titanfall 2 had some really cool bosses because it's always Titan on Titan. The characters were really forgettable, but the combat in that sequence was really cool.
Did you play? You played Modern Warfare 2 story mode, right?
Yeah.
The final sequence where you're gonna go kill the dude whose name I don't care about, but you have to pull the knife out of yourself and the screen's shaking. You're like, whatcha? Very cool.
I remember who I was thinking of. It's the final boss in the main storyline of Iceborne.
Shara Ishvalda?
Shara Ishvalda?
Yes.
That shit is wild.
I'll throw in Fatalis. No. Go, Bradley. Yeah. Fuck
you. You know what boss still kind of gives me the heebie-jeebies, even as an adult, is in Majora's Mask when you go inside the moon.
I was about to say Majora's Mask.
Those forms kind of creep me out.
Majora is a good one too.
Majora is cool. I just like that whole moon sequence from what I've watched. So
also, Mother Miranda in Resident Evil 8.
Resident Evil 8 has actually bosses that are deserving of this conversation, which is weird to me. But Mother Miranda's badass.
King K. Rool, Donkey Kong 64.
My God! That is actually
on God.
You get to play as every character, showcasing the coolest of their abilities. And the thing is, it's the final boss fight is you're in a WWE ring and it's televised, and you have to climb up in the rafters and drop the fucking lights on them and slam them against the it's really fucking awesome.
I'll additionally throw in, if anyone played Bowser's Inside Story from the Mario Superstar saga, the final boss has you. The boss is in 2 parts. You're fighting a bigger body as Giant Bowser, and then it goes inside Bowser, and then you fight him as Mario and Luigi and the little floaty guy that hangs out with y'all. Just a really cool, memorable boss with insanely good music for no reason.
My favorite boss is Geno from Super Mario RPG.
Bradley, I meant to bring this up, but after watching the Game Grumps supercut of the playthrough, I slightly like that game more. I think it's super ugly, but there's some good stuff in that game.
You know what? I had the opposite thing. I slightly like that game best because I really think that game is really magical for the first 3/4 of it. but the last 25% of the game is just boss after boss after boss.
And they're all just smithy tools. What an awful boss, anyways.
Yo, Twilight Princess, the Sand Temple, where you have that rider thing that you go around. What's it fucking
called? Oh my god, that boss is so cool. Where you're in the spinner. I think it's like, it's not Skullmageddon, but it's something dumb like that. It's real cool.
Star-Lord?
Yeah.
I also really like
cool boss.
Twilight Princess.
Zelda has some pretty solid bosses.
I also like Twilight Princess's final Ganondorf phase fight. I think it was a really cool, like, sword fight kind of thing, especially when you were using the Wii.
Girahim from Sky, whatever, it seems pretty cool. The lame one that everyone hates with Fi.
Oh, come on, y'all. Sonic and Shadow saving the Earth from the fucking Ark space colony crash.
That's cool.
Come on.
That's cool.
Hey, hear me out. I love that boss, but let's talk like design. It's more hype over like readability.
Yeah,
like it's a great.
Actually, playing the boss made me fucking furious when I last replayed it.
But live and learn, baby.
Like it's the soundtrack carrying that fight. Come on.
I haven't mentioned it. Oh, go ahead, Bradley.
Look, they won't tell you about this one, but boss fight that I've always enjoyed is Metal Mario in the first Super Smash Bros.
Yeah,
I like him. Cool. I like him better as a boss fight than Master Hand. I thought he was badass. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. Darkon and Galeem in Ultimate are pretty cool too. Taboo. Taboo's pretty memorable.
In Destiny, the Taken King Oryx. Oh. What a cool experience for a raid encounter. Like, that is what pushed that game from, this is some light MMO mechanics to, oh shit, this is its thing. Like, that was what made Destiny Destiny.
I got one last one from me. Oh. Joe, did you play Metal Gear Solid 3?
No, I did not.
Well, there's a final boss against someone called The Boss. And it is extremely emotional in a beautiful scene, and it's using everything that she taught you. She's your mentor in that game. And then it ends with forcing you to, like, Snake pulls out her gun on her, and it forces you, the player, to press the circle button to shoot, and the game will not progress until you do it, and it fucks you up, because it's a fight you don't want to see end this way, because of the way the narrative's built. It's great.
Yeah, I played Metal Gear Solid 4. I had to read some previous articles.
Okay, but speaking of that, Liquid Snake at the end of the game, and you're going through a phase that represents each game, and then there's that part where, like, they both look at the syringes in the hand, and instead of stabbing on themselves, they stab each other, and then they keep fighting. Oh, cool shit.
So I played Metal Gear Solid 1, and then immediately played Metal Gear Solid 4, which I guess was enough of, like, playing 1 previously. When you go into that first phase of the fight, I'm like, oh, this was just like the first game. I understand what's going on now.
All right, if anyone has any last ones to squeeze in.
Final submission that I've been wanting to say for a long time, and that I just forgot because I was waiting too long. Fucking what was it? I lost it.
No.
Y'all ever beat a boss in a fighting game?
No.
Fighting game bosses don't make this list.
Shao Kahn, fuck my dick. Dude.
Fighting game bosses are lame as fuck. They do not make this list as the fighting game.
Shao Kahn is a motherfucker.
Is Through Fire and the Flames a final boss?
Yes. Well, it's a boss fight.
If we're talking about actual boss fights, the Devil Went Down to Georgia on Expert. Ooh,
that's a fun.
Sally stage play from fucking Cuphead. No?
I know. Hold on. Sally's stage play is actually the best boss in video games, but also I remembered the one I was going to say. But Cuphead has so many good bosses. The one I was actually going to say is Mean Bean Machine in Sonic Mania, because they just turned Sonic Mania into the actual best video game.
Such a good pick. Sonic Mania actually has good bosses. I said it was my. I forgot it. Fuck it, Joe. You end this off. Kill us.
Okay, we're done. I have to go eat food, so I'm finished.
That's
I'm hungry.
The boss. Hunger is the final boss. Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.